The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
Don't wait for an AC breakdown this summer. Get a free in-home estimate with Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Schedule your appointment today at standardheating.com.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show. 93
Well, good morning, sunshine.
Oh, by the way, what day is today?
June 14th.
Today's Flag Day.
Flag Day.
Just let your flag fly, man.
Happy Flag Day.
Hey, did you guys know that there's a star for each state? Brilliant!
The adoption of the U.S. flag.
Act of Congress proclaiming June 14th as National Flag Day
to make the Stars and Stripes the official flag of the United States of America.
We're having a special get-together for Flag Day. Kick ass.
Oh, yeah.
Now your flag's flying.
Showtime.
Well, F it then. Let's get rolling. Let's get rolling by welcoming everybody and all of y'all to the 93X Half-Ass Morning Show. It's 5:41. Flag Day?
Flag Day today.
Well,
you know, I got flagged by my homeowners association for flying a flag on Flag Day many years ago.
Yeah, you did. Can't do that.
Yeah.
What's
the
the matter
year
with
was
you?
2000, and apparently it was a different time in Shakopee, where they were not allowing people to fly flags on Flag Day. The same place they'd flag you if you left your garage door open. You gotta bring your garbage bin back inside immediately after it's taken out by the garbage man.
Sounds like a lovely neighborhood.
That's the one and only association I've ever... Oh, I take that back. I have had another one. But they sucked something terrible.
So what was the deal? They gave you a phone call and said you can't fly a flag?
I got a letter.
A letter?
Saying if I do that again, I'm on the naughty list.
Oh, my God.
What naughty list aren't you on?
I can't think of one.
Me neither.
I'm on the naughty list for being on the most naughty list. They've got a list for that.
We are fully staffed here today. I see that Smashley's back in the mix. Hello there.
Hello.
Boy, we were worried about you.
18.
What happened?
18.
The funny thing about that is I can't wait to look back and be like, oh, those 18 days were some of the worst days of my life this year.
And I'm glad that everybody but me made fun of you for that.
Thank you, Jack.
Keep that in mind. When you come in here eventually with a crossbow and take out some of the dickheads around here, and I'm not saying they're dickheads, I'm just saying, remember this day.
You're the one that I'll look at and be like, you know what? You were good to me.
I
let
know
you go.
You explained later on what was going on with you, and I will not make fun of you for taking yesterday off.
Yeah, the doctor said I have an ulcer, so it's fun.
You're too young to have an ulcer.
Yeah, actually, it's the second one I've ever had. So,
Really?
Yeah.
Just imagine if you ever end up with 18 ulcers. That would be terrible.
I was telling Dana that the downside of having to be up so early is that they gave me some good drugs for the pain,
Ooh.
but you can't really take that at 5 a.m. if you want to stay awake.
They make you unconscious
Yeah,
with the ulcer drugs?
Yeah, some drowsy stuff in there.
An ulcer. I've heard of those. Well,
I heard they're very painful.
Not ideal.
Was that you had mentioned you thought you had food poisoning?
Yeah, because it was just the worst pain, and usually I've had food poisoning before, and it felt about the same, just like a stabby feeling in your stomach, and other stuff along with that.
Could it be lifestyle that's causing these, or did they say what's going on?
They can come on from stress, ulcers. Yeah.
Well, folks are a little in the dark why we are happily and sarcastically chanting 18 at Ashley after she missed yesterday's program. It's because we mentioned this yesterday. Did you hear our conversation yesterday?
No, but I had some people text me.
That would paint Josh in a bad light. You know.
How would it paint me in a bad light?
For no reason at all. I'm joking.
I'm going to say, wait a minute
I'm joking. We made a bet with you at the beginning on January 1st, 2023. I don't know if it was a bet, but a prediction.
It was a prediction that Wapple made.
A prediction by Wapple that you would have 30, was that the number, Wapple? 30 affected work days this year. and affected means you either missed the show altogether or you were wildly late. And you are already up to halfway through the year. You're up to 18.
Yeah, I'm surprised it happened this quickly, but your prediction, there's a lot of time to come to fruition there, Wob.
Definitely.
Well, you're feeling all right now?
Yeah, feeling better.
You look good.
Thank you.
All right. Here we go. Cubby, how's your mood today?
Solid.
How's
Just
your
fine.
mood?
Just
Good.
fine.
Good. You usually are in a pretty
I
good
try
mood.
and be. And if I'm not, I try and fake it.
You watch television programs, right?
I do. I just actually started a couple new shows. The one I'm watching most recently is Bad Sisters on Apple TV Plus. Came out last year. I missed it. I started watching because one of the stars and writers was on the Conan O'Brien podcast. So I thought I should check that out. And so we're into that one right now.
Bad Sisters.
Yep.
And the other that you've started?
Well, Platonic.
Been watching
So
Platonic
good.
too. That show's great.
There's one called Based on a True Story on Peacock.
Oh, that's
love
another
that
one you
as well.
suggested
Yes.
I need to get into.
Yeah, Dana, I think you'd especially like that.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about if television programming affects your mood? When you watch TV, does it affect your mood?
Yeah, there's a couple that have blessed my mood. And one in particular, the one that I think has made the most impact on my mood would be Ted Lasso.
Ted
I think it
Lasso.
came out at the perfect time, during the pandemic and all the strife going on in the world.
I finally finished that yesterday.
Ted Lasso, especially season 1, I felt like was going to the world's best therapist.
Yeah.
Just was such a feel-good show. And not in a cheesy way, I don't think, in the first season at least.
No.
So would all of you say that the television programs that you watch affect your mood?
Yeah,
Definitely.
I definitely would agree
Yeah, I
with
mean,
that.
and there's shows I can't watch anymore because they got too heavy. It was just too much.
Too heavy?
Like I'd feel, I just have like a dark cloud over me afterwards.
Too dark? You mentioned that before. Was it Dateline?
Yeah, Dateline got to me.
Watching all the stories of murder and child abduction and all these terrible things.
That's
Sons
how
of
I feel.
Anarchy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Yep.
Some of those shows where I put a lot of time into them, and then after a while, I'm like, man, I'm just in a funk. And I realized, well, everything I watch is incredibly depressing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Succession's kind of like that. You
It
kind of
is.
see everyone, and you're like, oh boy, I feel so bad.
So you
That
watch
show is depressing.
You watch a happy show and you're happy for a couple hours. You watch a dark, gloomy show and you might be a little pissy for a
Not
couple.
all of them. There's just some that especially get rough.
Okay, well, that's interesting to me because I have very limited exposure to television programming. I don't watch series or sitcoms or anything. I watch sports at night, and that's about it. So that's really interesting.
I watched the first episode of This Is Us, and I was bawling at the end of it, so I thought, this isn't the show for me.
Oh, that show has ruined me
I've
emotionally.
heard that show is just like manipulative with how sad and just it just kills you every
I
episode.
cried every single episode just about.
And after the first one, I was like, all right, I can't do this every week.
There
So
would be times where I'd skip it because I'm like, all right, I'm just not emotionally ready for that.
All of you sitting around the house crying
Yeah.
after watching This
oh,
Is
man,
Us.
after the first episode, I don't know how you can.
2,000 people were polled. 81% said their mood. Okay, maybe this is a little different. Oh no, it is. It's a little different, but also the same of what we've been discussing so far. 81% said their mood influences what they watch. 51% said what they watch can change their mood for the rest of the day. The rest of the day.
That's a little dramatic.
I don't know so much about that, but yeah, no, I mean, in the moment for sure. Like, there's a show on HBO called Euphoria, which I've watched 2 seasons of. If it comes back, I don't know if I can do it anymore because it's basically just 1 hour-long panic attack each week with how just stressful it is.
That is a stressful show. Dana warned me about an episode, I think, during like season 2, and I was like, okay, well, let's see. By 5 minutes in, I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do this.
It airs late on Sunday nights when it's running, so I don't catch it until Monday morning. But I have a friend who she'll text me and she'll be like, ooh, last night's episode was like 8 panic attacks out of 10. Be careful.
Being a guy who mainly just watches ball games, I can say that a positive or a negative result from a ball game can bother me for maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Well, it used to bother you for a week.
Oh, when I was younger?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When I was younger, ball games would alter my approach. Josh probably isn't even exaggerating. For about a week, I'd be pissed or arrogant, obnoxious.
Yep.
If my team won or here are the top 3 shows to put you in various moods, is how they say it here. The happiest shows. Modern Family is in there. I know a guy.
Yeah, and I know a guy
who has a DVD of their complete first season.
Blu-ray.
Pardon me, it's a Blu-ray is what I meant to say.
Even fancier.
That just means I spent more money on it.
Yeah.
If you know the program, you know that Josh made the effort of gifting me because he wanted me to get into the program so badly.
Because I know you'd love it.
I'm sure I would. He gifted me Modern Family, the complete first season on Blu-ray, and I still haven't gotten around to it. One of the happiest shows is Modern Family. That one makes you feel good?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah? Also on the list, Friends.
It's amazing how the show that just remains that popular today still. With so many younger people watching it too.
The Office, Seinfeld, throw those in there.
People feel good after they watch Friends, or if they're in a happy mood, they choose to watch Friends. And also on the happiest show list, The Fresh Prince at Bel-Air.
I haven't seen that in so long.
Neither have I.
Yeah, you don't usually catch that one on reruns like some of the other shows that you see. Like The Office is always on, Friends is always on.
You can't turn on during the day. You cannot turn on Comedy Central without The Office, Seinfeld, or South Park.
Yep.
Well, is the
I think that's all they play.
Is the Fresh Prince, is that maybe later at night? Because I remember growing up, it was always on later.
I have no idea when or where you could see The Fresh Prince plus Bel-Air. I don't know where you find that one.
I think that would make me feel good just because it would remind me of my childhood.
There's people texting in on some other shows that make you feel good. Shrinking.
Definitely.
On Apple TV Plus, that's excellent.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia is my go-to.
Yes.
That show cracks me up.
I've been rewatching that a lot lately, actually.
Resident
So
Alien, another good one.
I don't know that one.
Now, they also cover the most nostalgic shows. All right. Friends and The Fresh Prince make that list as well. Nostalgic shows. And in there as well would be Jerry Seinfeld.
I'd put Cheers on that list for me personally.
Yeah, I'd go back further than some of these that are on this list.
Some of the shows I remember watching with my parents as a kid, maybe they let me stay up a little bit later than normal and watch like a rerun of Cheers with them. Like that's the type that's nostalgic for me.
I still watch Cheers every single weeknight. That's the one television program that I will bother with. Isn't that something? And it's been over for 35 years or so. But I still, every night at 10 and 10:30 on a program, on a television program, how do I say that?
Channel?
A television channel called Decades. I watch Cheers every weeknight. Oh, I also watched that Tim Allen show. It's unbelievable.
What's it called again?
I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, it's called Last Man Standing.
Last Man Standing. I watched that every weeknight.
Where the heck would I watch that?
Was it Channel 45?
You got it.
Yeah, there you go.
8 and 8:30?
Yep.
You're not going to believe it. Tim Allen's character, he buys a car, and then he...
Never seen the show once, have you? Not one time. Tell us your feelings on Tim Allen. Go ahead.
I can't stand the guy. Well, no, the truth is, I couldn't stand that effing guy. Never saw it, that dumbass show where he had tools or
Home
something.
Improvement.
Never saw it.
Oh, I thought you had seen it.
Tim the Tool Man.
How do you
Taylor.
hate it so much?
Because the intro was enough for me to never watch that program.
Man, I really like that
That's
show.
all I had to hear was whatever your attempt there. What was it? What was he doing
He
there?
would grunt like that.
Because we're big dumb men. We're monkeys, right? I never saw it because I couldn't stand the intro. I did like him a lot in We Are Actors and We Got Lost in Space.
Galaxy Quest?
I liked him a lot in that.
That was a very funny movie.
And I liked him a lot in one of the most underrated movies of all time, and that is Wild Hogs.
Yes.
That's another good movie.
Because John Travolta and Martin Lawrence are two of the greatest entertainers of all. Okay, the most stressful shows here. We're talking about how our television program choices affect our mood. Stressful shows. Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
That lost me.
After I can't remember if it was the first season, the bathtub scene. You know what I'm talking about?
That was like episode 2 or 3.
Dark.
Oh, was it that early in the season?
It was pretty quick into it.
Yeah, after that one, I kind of gave up.
Kind of sets the tone right away for you, what you're going to be expecting the rest of the way.
Oh.
And I think because I was, I wasn't naive. I understood it was a different show, but I'm picturing Hal on Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes.
That's my Bryan Cranston. And I know this show became incredibly popular and people love it. I might go back to it, but at the time I thought, boy, this is pretty dark.
It's heavy. I don't know if it's for you.
Also very stressful, according to this paperwork I have in front of me, this article on TV shows that affect our mood. Also very stressful would be something called Grey's Anatomy.
A few people text that in, Grey's Anatomy.
I got through a couple seasons of that early, and it was just like, all right, who's going to die this week now,
Yeah, I watched the heck out of that. I definitely still keep up with it.
My stepdaughter woke up my wife and I one night. She started getting into that show. I forget it, sometime when she was in high school. And there was a particular character that died.
I know exactly who it is.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. It's the big one, right? And it was almost as if someone she knew personally had passed away.
Yeah.
She was inconsolable.
I feel it.
And then Ozark. Whatever that is, Ozark.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah, that's another
really
one I gave up
stressful.
on. And I love Jason Bateman so much.
It's it's just dark.
That's another show that most people, when you hear them talk about it, they just praise it up and down.
Another really dark one is Shameless. Oh, that one.
Is that a comedy?
Especially towards the end, it got really sad.
Yeah, it's just really heavy at moments.
Is it?
Yep.
All right, and now let's show our emotions. Also, a category here would be the most emotional television shows. In there, just like in the stressful category, how do I say
category?
That? Just like the stressful category, Grey's Anatomy is listed as an emotional show. You guys just got done talking about how every last one of you has cried your eyes out from a show called This Is Us.
That's got to be one of the most common answers.
Mm-hmm.
This Is Us is listed as an emotional program. And then finally, Sex in the City.
I've never watched that.
Me either.
But it did change a relationship of mine.
Yeah?
A girlfriend, Nick, you know her well. A girlfriend of mine got into that show, and she became a different person. She became one of the characters on that show.
She started modeling her personality after them?
Completely different person.
That's really interesting and odd.
She's the one that dressed me up when we went to Chino Latino, the surprise birthday party.
A little turtleneck.
She wasn't like that when we started dating, but
I remember
she got
her.
real fancy and into Cosmos, and her whole personality changed after that show.
I remember her. Isn't that something that a television show, she was like waiting for an identity?
Yeah.
And then this television show gave her what she believed to be her identity?
Totally different person.
I never watched too much of Sex in the City, but one time I was hanging with an ex and we were flipping around, and the Sex in the City movie had just started. She's like, "Oh, will you watch this with me?" And I had no interest. And she goes, "What if I told you at one point during this movie, one of the four main characters, one of the four main women, poops her pants?" I go, "All right, I'm in. I'll watch it."
That's all you needed?
That's all I needed. And I tell you, I never felt more alive waiting for is this where someone poops their pants?
All right, everybody be cool. My wife's listening. She just let me know on the stressful list. She reminded me Dexter, one of my all-time favorite shows. Absolutely love Dexter. But yeah, at the end of every episode, I thought, well, it's all over now. Great. He's done. He's all over. That's it.
Yep.
That's a very good show.
Another stressful one, Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, just because you were afraid to like any character because they didn't care about killing them
someone and then they're dead. God.
I was speaking of, I was mentioning earlier, I was listening to Conan and got into Bad Sisters from that. Pedro Pascal.
Oh, he's great.
Or Pascal. He's the latest guest on the Smartless podcast.
There you go. How television programs affect our mood. The only program from the entire list that we just covered, the only program that I ever watched would be The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Because of Carlton. I loved Carl. Oh, and I loved the older daughter. I mean, whoa, wee, whoa. And then Uncle Phil. He was funny.
What about Aunt Viv?
Yeah, she was great.
Ow.
What happened?
That was just so loud in my ears.
Was that loud?
Yeah. When you do it right in the microphone.
I didn't mean to.
Affecting.
I thought I had that far enough away from the.
Letterkenny. People are saying Letterkenny will put you in a good mood.
Yeah, definitely does for me.
Beef Cannon Jesus says, The Last of Us is one nut punch after another. Very depressing. I like that show. That was good.
Really interesting how you stated that you had a girlfriend once who was a certain way. She had a certain personality, certain traits, and then she watches Sex in the City, and she's a completely different person. Here's a text message from a listener that says the most identity-changing show has to be Sons of Anarchy. All of a sudden, we're surrounded by a million badass bikers. I don't know. Is that?
I would say.
I never saw the show.
It seemed to make a difference. Yeah, people got more into it a little bit. Definitely better than Dana at Mario Kart. Jesus says any scene that Homelander is in The Boys is very stressful. That is true.
Yep.
And oftentimes very strange.
Very bizarre.
And if you want to keep jaw-jacking about television just for a few more minutes, I saw another write-up, Summers, on TV shows we wish had just one more season. Just one more season. You guys seem to know all of this stuff, so tell me if you agree, disagree, tell me if you never heard of it or if you thought the show completely sucked eggs. TV shows that folks wish had just one more season. Let's see. I've seen one. I've seen two on the list. Okay. Oh, three. Mindhunter.
I'm not sure I know that
Never
one.
watched it.
Fair enough.
Oh,
Fire.
yeah, that's the one about serial killers. Is that Mindhunter on
yeah,
Netflix?
Yeah.
I didn't watch that either.
It.
Firefly. Anybody?
Oh, sure. I enjoyed that show. I guess I was fine with it not having another season, but I like that one.
Here is one that I have watched and I really enjoyed, and I wish it would go. I mean, one more season, great. How about 30 more seasons? And that's My Name is By God Woo Earl.
Oh, that was a fun show.
Been watching that again.
I would like. Where do you find that? Because I'd like to watch that again.
Oh, it's on one of my streaming services.
Son of a bitch! I don't know what a streaming service is.
I think it's like Netflix or Hulu that I'm on.
Here's the deal. That show was absolutely wonderful. The characters were perfect. I didn't watch it when it first showed up. I don't really necessarily think that Jason Lee guy is very funny in anything else. You see what is that? Did I get his name right?
Jason Lee. Mm-hmm.
I never thought much of him, and then I started watching reruns of My Name Is Earl. I don't know, 7-8 years later, and I couldn't get enough of it. I would like to see. I'd like that cast to continue to do their thing until they just freaks and geeks. Anybody?
Great show. Only lasted 2 seasons. Got canceled, and then picked up a huge cult following later on once the DVDs came out.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard people describe it the way you did, where it was just it became a cult classic, really.
Yeah, Judd Apatow created it. It had, a bunch of young stars before they really blew up. And it was very fantastic
Oh,
show.
that sucks. I bet when those DVDs started selling, they were like, darn it, we should have kept going.
Well, that's how Family Guy came back.
Yeah.
I mean, they did
No
Family
way.
Guy. People started buying all the DVDs, and they decided, well, shoot, maybe we got something with this
Oh,
show.
I didn't know that.
We're talking about shows that folks wish had just one more season. Pushing Daisies. Did we talk about that yet?
No, we haven't.
Anybody?
I'm familiar with the. I know I've seen the commercials for it, but I didn't watch.
The Expanse. Fair enough. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
What?
Never even heard of it.
That's not a real show.
Rome.
I haven't watched it, but I'm familiar. Didn't you watch that, Wapple?
No.
Oh, okay,
No.
I thought you did.
Glow.
Glow was a
Gorgeous
great show.
Ladies
That
of
was
Wrestling.
good.
Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, on Netflix, Mark Maron, it's a true story of that female wrestling in the 80s.
Yeah. I've heard all about it, but I never bothered with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, they got a indie wrestler that is pretty bad.
Bad
Wait,
as in a bad person?
Joey.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, bad person. Remember the dude with the blow pops?
Yeah, Joey Ryan.
Yeah.
What about him?
He was in Glow.
He was in that show.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
like the coach or the guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't
Gotcha.
aware of that. The OA. Can anybody help me with that one?
Somebody texted in on that and said that one ended too early.
Shows that folks wish had one more season. Deadwood.
I love Deadwood. Wasn't that only 2 seasons as well? Maybe 3. Man, that was a great show.
I wanted to get into it, but it was on, what was it?
HBO.
HBO, yeah. I didn't have it at that time.
Hannibal.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter.
Wasn't
I never watched that.
super graphic? And Randy was talking about it.
Randy Shaver
Yeah.
was disgusted, just not just like with how gross it was, but just disgusted that show existed on NBC.
Yeah.
I was
Believe
shocked on what they could show on him. I've never seen anything like that on network
Oh
television.
yeah, Randy was going to quit Care 11 because he couldn't believe.
And a lot of NBC affiliates around the country wouldn't show it. It was incredibly graphic.
All right, The Last Man on Earth. Folks want one more season of that show, whatever that is.
Isn't that with Tim Allen?
No,
Oh, it's not?
what's that?
Man Standing.
Oh, what's his name?
Channel 45. Carnival.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one.
The Good Place.
People like that one.
Gosh, I
show.
love
Really
that
good.
show.
Oh, Will Fornette. That's who I was thinking of.
Game of Thrones. We mentioned that. Fleabag.
That's another comedy, is it not?
Yeah.
And here's the, because I did see 1 or 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. Here's the only other show on the list that I have ever watched, and it never really grabbed me. But one individual would like one more season of WKRP in Cincinnati.
My folks watched that. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, my grandpa watched that.
Baby,
It's all right.
if you ever wondered.
No, on the topic of shows that kind of changed culture a little bit and changed people's their individual lives and how they carried themselves, a few people have texted in on Yellowstone.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. We all want to be cowboys.
You guys talked a few times about how everybody was turning into a cowboy, and didn't folks legitimately pull up stakes and move to Wyoming?
Yeah.
Montana, yeah.
Montana?
I mean, maybe Wyoming as well, but yep, Montana.
Can you imagine that? A television show and you're like, honey, we're moving to Montana? I would think the individual that said that was crazy.
Well, now there's a huge whiskey boom, too, because of Yellowstone. Everyone's drinking whiskey.
I got one for you. Almost nobody under the age of 70 had a massive beard down to their nipples until those duck hunting guys came along.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, 20-year-old guys with old-timey Civil War beards everywhere you looked.
Yeah, that's very true.
Everywhere you looked. The old-timey long beard, still sort of a thing. Not quite what it was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago.
Oh, the new Top Gun with mustaches.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's
Friggin'
crazy
annoying.
how many mustaches. It's like to the point. Yesterday, I thought I'm just going to grow one.
It's annoying.
I don't want to be the odd man out that doesn't have one. I'm going to grow one. On the topic of shows that ended too soon, Homeland and Jack Ryan, according to this text, I've got some very good news for you, whoever texted that. Jack Ryan, season 4, starts at the end of the month.
Oh, it's coming back.
June
huh?
30th.
People love to watch that television. I'll tell you what, it affects their mood. It affects their effing lives down to their personalities, where they choose to live. I can't imagine watching some cowboys have a shootout in Montana and then saying, well, that's where I want to be. It's a television show. You got to be nuts.
Yeah, I love The Sopranos, but I never considered it. Like, you know what? I need to go live in the Jersey suburbs.
Yeah, never saw it, by the way,
never
Sopranos.
saw it either.
Here's the deal. You're a terrific crowd. It's a Wednesday morning. We appreciate you joining us, but we got to take a breather and set our DVRs, I guess. Is that still a thing, to set your DVR?
It is.
for
Yeah.
Some of these, and we'll be right back on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
They want to glorify the fact that they're criminals. It's dumb. These guys are dumb. They deserve to be tossed under the jail just for being dumb.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
CJ Ham for Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. When I'm on the field, I can take anything. But at home with my family, we like everything to be comfortable. That's why I trust the pros at Standard. They've been keeping Minnesotans like me comfortable for over 90 years.
Is your cooling system making strange noises or not cooling properly? Don't wait for an AC breakdown this summer. Get a free in-home estimate with Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Schedule your appointment today at standardheating.com.
stupid news on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
You know, we had a conversation a few minutes ago about television shows, emotional shows, stressful shows, happy shows, donkey shows, dark, creepy shows. Yellowstone came up. Just for the record, never saw it. And we talked about how so many people went mental over that program. Some of them just upped and moved to Montana, where the show was based. And now my guess is, tell me if I'm wrong, a great number of people who moved to Montana because of the television show Yellowstone didn't go there to become cowboys or whatever they do in Yellowstone. They moved just so they could live in the same state that is portrayed in the completely fictional TV program. That is so odd to me.
I know.
That's insane to me.
Well, I can see in the way that it's beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. So I could see some people saying, well, I didn't realize it looked like that or it was like that.
That state was always, it's on my list of if I ever lived in a different state, that's number one is Montana. But not because of Yellowstone. I didn't really get into that. I didn't know that they actually filmed it in the actual setting.
I enjoy the spin-offs of that show.
Yeah, same here.
Message on that particular topic. A listener says, I watched the show Florida Man on Netflix.
Is it good? Have you guys watched it?
I haven't seen it.
Never saw it.
It was different than I thought it was going to be. I watched just a couple of trailers. I didn't watch the show.
Okay.
This is Florida Man Jesus who texted in and said, I watched the show Florida Man on Netflix, and I thought, well, that's where I want to be. So I moved to Florida. I went through Hurricane Ian, and now I'm no longer Florida Man Jesus.
Yeah, I bet that's all it would take for me is just one hurricane and then I'm out.
Just wipes your home right off its bearings. Yeah, I'd get out of there faster than you can say Jack Robinson.
A good buddy of mine, his in-laws live in Montana, and he spends a few weeks there every year. And he had mentioned that there's a lot of residents there that just kind of despise what's happened because of Yellowstone. Not just the people moving out there, but also just the amount of tourism that's coming through.
This was our little secret. Why do you have to blow it with that stupid show?
Yeah. And it's kind of funny. I mean, Wapple, you watched the show.
The show is exactly about that.
And right. Where on the show, they would absolutely hate what's happening right now.
Oh, really? That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about, they're trying to save their farm and their ranch, and people are trying to take it over.
And here we go.
You want an airport?
It's like that South Park episode, where all the hipsters are moving to South Park.
You might get a kick out of this story once, Josh. You might get a kick out of this story. Many years ago, many years ago, I was in high school, went to Montana to visit a friend. And as we were going through Billings, Montana, and we had a long ways to go beyond that. Man, that was a poke. 16 hours, maybe?
Oof.
As we were driving through Billings, it was 6, 7 o'clock at night, and I thought, it's kind of a cool-looking little city, Billings, Montana. And we drove by some kind of a Billings Civic Center, and on the marquee it said, tonight only, Whitesnake.
No way.
Yeah. And I thought, can we go to the Whitesnake show and then continue on?
You guys you were in a hurry?
Yeah, we had
to get to your destination.
We had about another 6.5 hours to go. Never got to see Whitesnake live in Billings, Montana in 1987.
More anxiety than hair, Jesus said that there's definitely beautiful parts of Montana, but he said he drove almost all the way through it, and it was one of the most boring drives of his life.
I can see that.
Here we go. Stupid news. Here's one of those stories where I hope one day I can be part of this type of entertainment. I want a ringside seat for one of these. A gal in Ecuador. She was declared dead. But during her own wake, she came back to life and then scared the bejesus out of everybody. when she started knocking on the lid from the inside of her own coffin.
I bet that could give someone in attendance a heart attack.
Yeah.
Weren't you at one where something similar happened when they dropped the casket?
It's funny you bring that up, Josh. Yes, I was in attendance.
Was that a funeral or a wake?
It was a funeral. So what am I saying? I'm sitting here talking about how I wish I could experience. I have experienced. The story was this old couple that I was familiar with. The old lady died. The wife died. And at her funeral, they're carrying her casket out. And one of the, what do you call the folks that carry one of the pallbearers stumbles, and the casket kind of hits a wall. And the dead lady, she rolls out of the casket, and she wakes up. She's alive again. It was truly unbelievable.
That's terrifying. But thank God she's alive.
5 years later, she dies again. The wife out of this old couple dies again.
For real this time.
That's what and at the funeral, they're carrying her casket out, and the husband says, "Look out for the friggin' wall!"
I was a pallbearer just once, and I was worried that I was going to drop the casket.
You don't want to be part of a coffin flop.
No.
Coffin flop.
And I was looking around at, by the way, what show was that where they had coffin flop?
Oh, I think you should leave on Netflix.
Yeah, that sketch show?
Mm-hmm.
That is so good.
So good.
That particular skit. But yeah, I was looking around at the other pallbearers thinking, okay, who's the weakest link? And unfortunately, it was me. I was just looking around at who was joining me and thought, who's going to be the one to screw this up?
Oh, you were never going to.
I was looking around at everybody else, and I thought, no, not that person, not that person. Oh, no, it's me.
You never had a chance to screw that up. You're a strong kid.
And I was leading it. I would have preferred to be in the middle or kind of hide somewhere else, but I was up front there.
I was also a pallbearer once, many years ago. One of my best bros checked out young. Joe Studley died. And on the day we were carrying his casket, it was hotter than Dutch love. And all of us, we're all sweating.
Oh, no.
Our hands are sweating. I thought for sure we were going to dump him. And Studley would have gotten a kick out of that, I'm sure. But I was nervous, too. I thought, don't be the guy that drops Joe Studley.
I think I've done it 3 times.
Oh, wow.
A lot of death, huh, in your life?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of death in your life.
You've dated a lot of very old women.
All right, here's this gal in Ecuador. At her own wake, she's knocking on the lid of the, how do you call it, the coffin. Mourners had gathered at the funeral. Well, one part of the story they call it a wake, and the other part they call it a funeral, so I guess take that however you like. Mourners had gathered for the service of a gal named Bella Montoya when they heard strange noises coming from inside the coffin. And it was Bella in there, alive, and wondering what gives.
Why is it dark?
That poor woman. She must have been horrified.
Yeah. She'd been declared dead after a suspected stroke, and she also had some of that cardiac arrest. But there she was, alive and breathing inside her own damn coffin. That is hilarious. Her son, Gilberto, I've got a quote here from her son, Gilberto. He said, "It gave us all a fright." What are we, on a Scooby-Doo episode or something? It gave us all a fright. I think what he meant to say was that it caused damn near everyone at the wake to explode diarrhea into the... It gave us a fright, he says, like he's writing a children's Halloween song. So here's the deal. Bella, she was and is 76 years old. She was smooth unconscious when her family took her to the hospital a few days ago. She did not respond to resuscitation. The doctor on duty said that she had gone ahead and died. Things must be different in Ecuador. Her family took her to the funeral home the same day.
Okay,
Wow.
that's what I was going to ask is when you die, don't they do stuff to your body before they put you in the ground?
Oh, they do stuff to your body. By God, they do. Yeah. They empty your bowels. They do all kinds of terrible. So I guess they move on quick in Ecuador. Same day that she supposedly checked out, they had her funeral.
Wow.
They fired up her wake on the same day that she was declared dead.
Maybe they just wanted to get it over with.
Here's Gilberto again talking. He said there were about 20 of us there after about 5 hours of the wake. 5 hours.
It's a long wake.
The coffin started to make sounds. My mom was knocking on the coffin, and when we approached it, we could see that she was breathing.
I would assume someone was messing with me, pulling a practical joke.
Well, without a doubt. Someone took video of Bella's return from the dead. It says here in the story there's video of her laying there. Did anyone watch the video?
I did, yeah.
That must have been disturbing.
Well, and I'm trying to figure out if this was afterwards, after the initial knocking, or what, because it looked like people were attending to her at this point.
Here's the bad news. She was rushed back to the hospital, and apparently doctors think she might die again.
No.
That's the last time we talked about a similar story, that's what happened. I remember it was the same thing. A woman woke up, and then a couple days later, she passed again.
Isn't that something? Like I said, I'd like to be part of one. Maybe I can be the one that comes back in the middle of my funeral. And a lot of you would be saying, Jesus Christ, here we go again. I bet he's going to tell a story about the 80 Olympic hockey team. I bet he's going to give us some random Van Halen or Kiss knowledge that we never asked for.
First thing out of your mouth.
I guess if somebody does pass and you don't want them coming back, cremate them immediately.
Yeah. Just light the fire. All right, staying with this vibe. A dude down in New Orleans was declared missing and then dead, and then he turned up alive. Demetriak Scott. Demetriak is the first name. Scott, 47-year-old. He was reported missing back on June 10th. Dude hadn't been in contact with anybody for 2 weeks. He hadn't responded to any attempts to reach him or shown up at work. Just vanished. So then, the local coroner's office told his family that a dead body that was found dumped on the street was believed to be Mr. Scott. Coroner's office, we found a carcass. We think it might be your dude. No tests were done, though. Maybe I don't know what tests you could do. But the family...
DNA or something like that, maybe, or dental records.
There you go.
The family didn't view the body. They kind of took the coroner's word for it. Local news reporters were sent to the family's home to cover this story. And right as reporters were getting themselves together to report on this man's death, he suddenly walked on up.
What you guys doing here?
He walked up. Oh, there he is. That's effed up.
Oh, hey, guys, what are we doing?
Do you think his family didn't care about him?
What do you mean?
That's why they're like, that's him.
Close enough.
For sure.
That's probably him.
It's got to be.
And Demetriak said, I've been around. He said, I needed some time for myself. Life caves in on you sometimes, and that's just what happened. He also said, I appreciate the concern. I didn't know it was a thing. I just needed to get away from everything. Well, fair enough, I guess. But, dude, you could have answered your friggin' phone and let people know you were all right, for Christ's sake. What a selfish prick. Really, honestly, his family and his work were calling him for 2 weeks. He never answers the phone. Isn't that's a little odd and selfish? Is it possible this guy kind of wanted to see how folks would react? You know, like we've heard stories of oddballs pretending to die and then showing up at their own funeral to see how many people showed up and to see what people would say about him. This kind of reeks of that. I'm sorry, but it sort of does. I understand wanting to get away from your phone for a couple weeks, but even in the old days before we had cell phones, we would answer the phone after a number of days so people knew we were alive.
Yeah. It's very
What
selfish.
do you think, Cubby?
Well, I don't know what he's going through. I mean, I can't really... I hear what you're saying. It could be that way, too, but maybe there's some stuff that's happening that you'd understand what he's getting away from.
Well, then I'm sorry I blew up.
Well, hey, you might be right.
Yeah, but you
it's
might
just
be
tough for me to judge, just in case we find out something terrible's actually been going on. Or maybe he's on the run from something. Maybe he was abducted.
Oh.
By aliens.
Police are still investigating the dead body that was found. The one that they thought was Mr. Dmitriuk.
Yeah, who's that guy?
It's unclear why someone thought that person was Dmitriuk or how things got this far without more confirmation. Just walks on up. What's going on?
What's up, brah? Anybody making soup?
Moose soup?
Forgot what that is. Now I'm afraid to Google it.
Moose soup?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
The moose soup lady.
Well, I'm going to play some moose soup lady for you.
Oh, she's just screaming her ass off about it.
Come on down after. Get some moose soup.
Come down for moose soup after.
Every
Come
time.
down later for moose soup. You guys come down here after. I got moose soup and everything. Come down for moose soup after.
Every time I hear that audio, I mean, it sounds exactly like Josh's wife's speaking voice. Don't you guys?
Dirty son of a.
Don't you guys think so?
She does have a trucker mouth.
OMG.
All right, how about this now? A large-chested lady. Well, not so large-chested, really, but it helps the joke I'm going to dump on you here in a minute. I think a reasonably large-chested young lady. The story calls her one of those influencers, don't you know? She was arrested for a string of bank robberies. She was. Here's the joke, and this is from my life partner, Cubby, who loves puns. The headline here from the New York Post is, "What a bust."
They're always good for that. They always start with a pun.
Mm-hmm. This all went down, skis, over there in Brazil. She and her boyfriend are in trouble. Now, she runs with the name of Karina Liano Gomez. She's apparently very popular on TikTok. She and her boyfriend, Edmilson Souza da Silva, they were taken into custody by cops here a few days ago in Rio de Janeiro. The two of them were charged with robbing people at the ATMs of different banks. And she's supposedly some TikTok star with the tiny little tops and the thong bottoms and the many tattoos and the wicked amount of makeup. You know, you've seen a few of these, right?
Yep.
Her eyebrows are off the chains.
Are they?
Oh.
According to the local cops, Gomes, the hot lady, her role was to get victims to let their guard down. And I'm sure she could do that.
She's distracting.
Shows up in a set of those yoga pants and a tube top, and she would distract folks at the ATM, and then another member of their crew would rob people at gunpoint. There is surveillance video of their operation. A getaway driver would then pile them all into a motor vehicle and drive them on out of there. Gomes and her gang had been under surveillance for a month or so once the cops got wind of them, and they got busted. This TikTok gal and her dork boyfriend, they admitted to the robberies. They also named some of their accomplices, and the cops are looking for them.
Ah, snitches.
Ain't that a story?
That's what you got out of that?
Yeah. They ratted them out to save themselves some time.
You wouldn't do the same thing?
I guess it depends how close I was to the people.
She's a pretty lady. Supposedly raking in bucks on TikTok, but they're out there robbing banks.
She's got that butt you like.
I'm sure she'll have fun in jail then.
She has got a bubble that might get a 1,000 career point beer league hockey player in trouble. Too much eye makeup for my taste. I would never wear that much eye makeup. You see the eye makeup, Josh?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, and her eyebrows specifically, it's like somebody took a roller to them.
I bet her eyelids are sore after the end of a day, just from.
I bet they're extensions.
All the makeup hanging off of her eyelids. Well, F me. We went on and on a couple weeks ago talking up this World Sex Championship that was apparently going to be held in friggin' Sweden. We talked on and on about the World Sex Championship coming. Josh was doing kegels like a bastard. But apparently it was all the BS, stupid-ass social media story. It never happened. It never was going to happen.
Well, let's change that.
Well, maybe it sucks that this was all social media nonsense, but it does open the door for an American to go ahead with this and host the World Sex Championships for real right here in America, maybe even in the great state of Minnesota.
That'd be great if it was in Minnesota.
How about in Burnsville? The name of the town would elicit some jokes, right?
Well, Climax. I mean, doesn't that seems like a good setting for this?
Yeah. But they could really use something to happen in Burnsville. That town sucks, Waffle. Waffle said.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
They could use anything positive going their way.
Here's the deal. So it all started with some tweets and some other social media nonsense, and then some news outlets picked up the story of the World Sex Championship in Sweden. It was supposed to be a multi-week event. Participants were apparently going to fold each other in half for hours each day. They talked about fun things like penetration and oral and whatnot, but it was all nonsense. According to stubborn-ass Swedish news outlet called Godersten, there was a real proposal for a sex championship in Sweden, submitted by a dude named Dragan Bradic, who was the chairman of the Swedish Federation of Sex, don't you know? He wanted to have sex registered as a sport. He wanted to go ahead with this competition, but his proposal, was rejected by somebody called the National Sports Confederation of Sweden back in April. But the stories of an upcoming sex tournament took off, and in the end, I guess we all got screwed. The stories took off on social media, couldn't be stopped.
You're right, though. Sometimes, born from the ashes of a wonderful idea, somebody else will pick it up and go for it.
Tell you what, if they want me to start watching the Olympics again, add a sex competition to it.
I would watch the Sex Olympics.
Yeah, I think I'd be interested in seeing it for sport. I mean, ribbon dancing, that's pretty sexy. Dana, you should check that out. I think you'd get turned down by something like that.
I would watch the living hell out of the Sex Olympics.
Do you ever incorporate your bandana into sex, Dana?
Maybe.
Maybe some restraints or a gag of some sort.
Cleanup rag?
A pretty girl never kisses and tells, Josh.
I suppose. A tourniquet. Just for Ashley specifically and the stuff she's into.
This will teach you a lesson real quick. Some lady in Texas was forced to abandon her motor vehicle after an injured animal she rescued from the side of the road went mental in her car. I initially thought of that scene from Tommy is
Boy?
a Fat Kid. What was that show?
Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy.
Yep.
When the deer. This woman was driving in San Antonio, Texas a couple weeks ago when she spotted a, quote, small, strange creature that she thought was a lemur laid out on the side of the road.
It's a lie! I think you tried to bite me!
She wanted to help this injured animal. The animal had a fox-like face and a body covered in soft fur with a fluffy black and white tail. She thought it was, a lemur. She wrapped it up in a towel and carried it back to her car. But there were two problems. One, the animal was not a lemur, and two, it was not grateful for her help at all. The animal went crazy. The gal had to dive out of her car, or else this damn thing was going to pull an artery out of her thigh and watch her bleed out. She called the cops. A cop showed up at the scene, captured the animal. It wasn't a lemur. It was a Komodo dragon.
Whoa!
No, I'm kidding. It was a something or another called a ringtail. They look very much alike. I looked them up.
How drunk would you have to be to confuse a lemur for a Komodo dragon? And you got a big vehicle, too.
And this thing, it went mental. The animal's injuries were treated. It was handed over to a wildlife rescue joint They say here in the story, ringtails do share some physical characteristics with a lemur. And like I said, I looked them up. They do look quite a bit alike.
Mm-hmm. I see where they got the name, too.
They both are, they say, they're both gifted climbers. They both have corkscrew penises. I'm kidding about that second part. Ringtails are part of the same family as raccoons. Well, I don't think I want a confused and injured raccoon. I don't want to confuse an injured animal of any type in my car with me. Do you, folks, want injured or confused?
Absolutely not.
There's a new movie coming out called Crack Coon on the heels of Cocaine Bear, and I put together the trailer, and now I can't find it.
Raccoon.
Yeah, Raccoon. It's a low-budget movie about a raccoon that goes on a killing rampage after it ingests some crack.
I won't be watching that.
Well, what about Caddy Hack?
Caddy Hack.
It's an indie horror film with killer gophers on a golf course.
That sounds pretty cool.
You'll watch that one?
I hate golf courses and golfers, so it is somewhat appealing, but I likely won't watch that either.
Now I have to deal with dead caddies on my green?
We have a major crisis on our hands.
It's the gophers.
These things have mutated.
And they're out there killing everyone. If there's mutated gophers out there, I got something they can eat right here.
Did he grab his crotch right there?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I'll be trying any of those, Josh.
Not Raccoon.
No.
Not Caddy Hack.
No. And I will never watch Stupid Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, I don't think I'll watch it.
I still haven't gotten around. Is it on Peacock now?
It's on something. Yeah, I keep scrolling past it. I don't know.
Yeah, I watched the first couple minutes and turned it off.
Oh,
I'm
that's all you
honestly
can get?
afraid something's going to happen to the bear, and I can't take that emotionally. So even if the bear's out there killing
bear?
people, yeah. I mean, I felt bad for what was that Winnie the Pooh spinoff where
Blood and
Winnie the Pooh
Honey
was like dark, yeah. At
Winnie
the
the Pooh Tang.
At the
That would be something.
at the end, I felt bad still, even though they killed people the whole movie.
You're one of those like weirdos, aren't you? Like where you're almost too in love with animals?
Yeah, probably
All right.
like a little too much.
I'll watch a movie. If you make up a movie where it's man versus otter,
Dude, this sounds cool.
I'll watch that because I hate otters.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Oh yeah.
I hate otters, and I'll get a seat for that movie, man versus otter. Some kind of, it can be all kinds of dramatic Game of Thrones type sword fighting. I don't care what it is. I want the man to win.
That's not the best smelling animal, the otter.
What about zombotters?
Nah.
Zombotter? Is that a thing, or are you making that up?
I just made it up.
Because they're likely
Zombie otters.
Because they likely will win. Who can beat a zombie? All right, one more real quick story. In New Jersey, a Tesla driver got distracted and slammed into another vehicle because he was busy swatting at a bug that had flown up into his car. Come on, dude, that's embarrassing.
I had a bug attack me once in my car. I think it was like some sort of bumblebee or something. It was so big I thought I was being carjacked. I handed it the keys and got out.
It's yours. Just don't hurt me.
I don't like those bees, you know that. So I might get a little squirrely on the road if a bee jumps in the cab with me. But this was a 19-year-old kid behind the wheel. He's going this way. He's going that way. An insect got into his vehicle, and they say here it got right into his face.
Ooh, right in the face.
He tried to swat it away. He lost control of his car, and he backdoored another vehicle driven by a 19-year-old gal. I bet she thought he was really cool. They went slamming into a guardrail. Nobody was hurt. The bug was even unharmed. The young fella got tagged with a ticket for careless driving. That's terrific. And local cops are warning drivers to be cautious if a bug flies into your vehicle while you're driving. They say keep your composure, slow down gradually, pull over if possible. If you're attacked by an insect. My two favorite ridiculous car crash stories that I can think of right off the top of my head is I know a guy who lost complete control of his vehicle. He packed himself some Copenhagen. Big fatty for a pimp daddy, and he fired it into his yap, and then he wiped his eye with his chew finger.
Whoops.
And I can't see, and he spun out of control. He Copenhagened his own eye socket. The other, a friend of mine threw an apple out the window of his car, and it hit the guardrail. Some of it came back, hit him in the face, and he lost control, went into the ditch.
Instant karma.
Yeah, there you go.
Sports on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
20 seconds remaining. The Golden Knights start to celebrate on their bench. The silver trophy to the Golden Knights.
Jack, what were you feeling when you finally lifted the cup?
I don't know. It's just an unbelievable feeling. Relief. There's so many emotions going through your body at that moment, and it's a really special feeling.
Who was that dork?
Jack Eichel. And I'll tell you what, that full interview was so uncomfortable with the amount of pauses and confusion in his hand. It was almost like he was on his phone. He was also ordering something on a different phone, looking around, talking to somebody else. It didn't seem like, he just won. So he's a little distracted.
That's funny.
I couldn't watch much of it. I'd imagine they kept it close. Florida stayed in that thing.
The Panthers?
Yeah.
They scrapped and they fought and they kept it close. Yeah, the final was 9-3.
Oh,
so brutal.
That sucks. I mean, they were just cooked. The Panthers were cooked. They were shorthanded. Their legs were gone. The better team, the better club won this year's Stanley Cup. The Vegas Golden Knights.
9-3.
Got her done. 5 games. They sealed her up in 5 games. You mentioned Jack Eichel with that awkward interview. There are certain things about professional hockey that it's just so hilarious. A lot of the interviews, the guys aren't quite all there. It is still cool after all these years to see the Stanley Cup brought out onto the ice and to see the reaction from the players. From a couple of the players on the Knights, you could tell they're barely able to keep it together. They've been dreaming about this their entire life. But some weird things about professional hockey. The dude who brings the cup out year after year with that brutal He-Man haircut that he has. What is it with hockey players and their effing hair? Look at the head coach of Vegas, Cassidy. What's his first name? Gonzalo, I think.
Butch.
Gonzalo Cassidy, whatever his first. Bruce Cassidy. Typical hockey guy. Needs to do something about his hair, but he hasn't.
But Wapple, don't they call him Butch? Is that his nickname?
No,
they do. They do.
Butch Cassidy.
Yeah, I thought you were. Yeah, I know. I think they do call him that.
Yeah, they do. That's his nickname, according to Wikipedia.
Just a side note, it was a wonderful moment last night. Great to see the cup hoisted. Great for the Vegas Golden Knights. But the freaking haircut that the cup presenter guy is still hauling around. Do something about that. And David Cassidy, what'd you say his first name was? Bruce Cassidy. Enough. It's over, dude. It's over. Do something about your hair. You're on television every night. That's just the liquor talking. We'll get into more details on the victory last night. Wapple, were you at the Twins game last night?
I was.
Did you stick around for the dong?
I did not.
What?
I left in the top of the 9th.
You got a little tired?
Yeah, and I told myself, I'm like, all right, if the Twins don't get a run here, in the 8th inning to make it 5-4, I was like, I'm out.
Can I just play a little piece of audio for you?
Yeah, go for it.
Now Correa 0 for 4 on the night. A drive to left. Back and gone. Carlos Correa's signature moment in his year and a half for the Twins.
What an inning. And what at-bats against one of the best closers in all of baseball who hasn't given up much. What a ball game. What an effort. This is the kind of one that can really propel your season going forward.
Wapple, tell me who has 2 thumbs and didn't see that.
This guy who heard it on the radio and hated himself on the way home.
Are you kind of miserable that you missed that moment?
I think I would have been a lot worse today if I stayed.
He got $4 dogs, so he's doing okay for himself.
Did you eat $4 dogs?
Yep.
Attaboy.
Didn't you show up with a bunch of Brewers fans?
Yeah, I showed up with my cousins.
And they're from Wisconsin?
They're from Wisconsin.
Friggin' losers is what they are. What a great win for the Twins. We'll get into that. Look at the time. We got to get going. Randy and Brad are going to join us at 7:30, but Josh's news is coming up next.
They want to glorify the fact that they're criminals. It's dumb. These guys are dumb. They deserve to be tossed under the jail just for being dumb.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
CJ Ham for Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. When I'm on the field, I can take anything, But at home with my family, we like everything to be comfortable. That's why I trust the pros at Standard. They've been keeping Minnesotans like me comfortable for over 90 years.
Is your cooling system making strange noises or not cooling properly? Don't wait for an AC breakdown this summer. Get a free in-home estimate with Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Schedule your appointment today at standardheating.com.
Half-assed morning show. 93X.
I let the kids go play. I did notice that there was liquid collected at the bottom of the slide. I just assumed it was rainwater. My baby, who's 1, just started crying. So that was when I kind of knew that this liquid that they were around was not water.
No, it wasn't. 2 children suffered burns after playing on slides which had been splashed with stolen acid at a Massachusetts playground over the weekend. Police and firefighters rushed to Bliss Park in Long Meadow Sunday morning for a report of a suspicious substance on slides. At about the same time, firefighters and EMTs went to a home in town for a report of 2 children with burn-like injuries who had just left the playground. In the investigation, officials learned the pump room in the basement of the park's pool building had been broken into. Authorities determined someone tore off a ventilation shaft cover, broke into a basement storage room where chemicals are kept at the park's swimming pool, and then stole some acid. The acid, which can be used for cleaning or for maintaining a pool's pH balance, was then poured on 3 slides.
That's a cold-blooded, kind of a sick-minded move, isn't it, Cubby?
Yeah, that's evil. Officials said the pool's chemicals had been properly stored in a secured area, and a great deal of effort was employed to enter the space. No one's been arrested or charged as of yesterday, but police said the suspect or suspects may have also been injured. We suspect the perpetrators may have suffered acid burns to their hands or arms, and their clothing may have indications of being degraded from contact with the acid, said a statement. Additional cleaning crews are expected to arrive at the playground throughout the week, and it will remain closed until further notice. What a couple of pricks.
It's awful.
Some goofy bastard trying to burn up the kids.
Yeah. A U.S. postal worker and a South Carolina man have been federally indicted for marijuana being delivered on the carrier's assigned route. According to court documents, packages from Sacramento and other California cities were delivered by the mailman to an associate in Columbia, South Carolina, on at least 5 different occasions. The associate is accused of paying the postal worker up to $200 to deliver the package.
$200?
200 bones.
That sounds pretty good.
I don't know about sending it through the mail, but pretty soon you can have it delivered.
Yeah.
Right?
That was like double dipping for that worker there.
Authorities have arrested a man who they believe robbed a bank in Inver Grove Heights last week. Police say the Wells Fargo, located just off Buchanan Trail, was robbed before 5 p.m. Friday. The male suspect fled the scene before officers arrived, and despite a search, he wasn't found. However, the department says investigators found evidence that led them to a 22-year-old. They searched his home and took the man into custody. Police say the search uncovered evidence that was directly connected to the bank robbery, including the money. The Inver Grove Heights Police Department said nobody was injured during that robbery.
Good old-fashioned bank robbery, eh?
Yeah, a couple of them here. A Minnesota man traveled to Chicago twice last year to rob banks, but he lost the money when someone stole his getaway car with the cash inside.
Good for that person.
Pissed me off.
The man, a convicted murderer, is charged with robbing a federal credit union November 20th. He returned to Minnesota after the robbery and is suspected of returning to Chicago 10 days later to rob another bank. But he confided in his brother that he lost the money and more when someone stole his getaway car, which had the cash in it. "Give me all the money or I'll shoot," he allegedly told the credit union teller, who handed over $6,000. 10 days later, he robbed a Huntington Bank branch of $2,000. A dye pack hidden in the cash exploded as the vehicle neared the interstate, and a FedEx driver gathered up about $170, which flew out of the car after the pack detonated. December 2nd, police in Minnesota found his car abandoned with the engine running and a door open, revealing red dye stains on the interior. Later that day, the man called police to report he had loaned the car to a guy named CJ, who never returned it. He wasn't using it as a getaway car. But he had a different story a few days later when he called his brother, who was in the Hennepin County Jail. The car, the alleged robber revealed, had been stolen in Minneapolis. In a recorded conversation, the man allegedly said, "They taken that bitch not knowing it was full."
Oh.
What an idiot. Just rats himself out.
"When I say full, bro, I'm talking about I had $12,000 cash. They took that suitcase, boy. It effed me up," he said. An FBI agent quoted him as saying those lines in a recorded call. The agent wrote that he believed the money the man had, quote, lost came from bank robberies.
What an idiot.
A semi-truck driver whose vehicle was stolen in Blaine over the weekend said it's been recovered, but not in the condition he would have hoped for. The man said he dropped the truck off Friday to fix the air conditioning, and it was stolen Sunday around 2:30 a.m.
A camera inside the truck captured the thief behind the wheel early Sunday morning. The owner put out a plea on social media for any information, and it was shared almost 10,000 times in 24 hours.
An investigator called him yesterday morning to say the semi-truck was located, but unfortunately submerged near a boat landing in Diamond Bluff, Wisconsin.
Well, somebody sunk it in the water?
Yeah, poor guy. That sucks.
There's some douchebags out there.
Yeah, it's his work. It's his work, man.
I hear you.
In other local big rig news, King of the Road Jesus is now Minnesota truck driving champion. Jesus. We mentioned last week he was competing in the Minnesota Truck Driving Championship in Roseville, and he won his division.
I lost a lot of money on that victory.
I backed him 100%. Next stop, Ohio, where he'll be competing in nationals.
Get the hell out of here. Now he's got to go to Ohio?
Yeah, pretty cool.
Do they have, like, worlds? That'd be sweet.
Well, we'll find out if he wins in Ohio. We'll find out.
Police are investigating a shooting in Brooklyn Park that left a woman injured early yesterday morning. A news alert from the department said officers responded to the intersection of County Road 81 and 85th Avenue North just before 2:40 a.m. The victim reported being stopped at a red light when a vehicle pulled up next to hers and fired several rounds for some reason. She was hit once in the leg, and her vehicle was hit several times. The suspect vehicle fled the area. Investigators then processed the victim's vehicle and said the investigation is ongoing. Hopefully they catch those folks.
Mm-hmm.
An Indianapolis woman who transported babies across the city in a milk crate strapped to a bicycle has been sentenced to a year in prison for neglect of a dependent. Police arrested 36-year-old Blossom Kirby after multiple witnesses called 911 to say they saw Kirby riding a bicycle on the city's east side and almost fall off the bike several times. One man said he thought Kirby was transporting toys in the milk crates attached to the bike, but then he saw an arm move inside. Soon after, he and his coworkers approached Kirby and saw what was inside that crate, 2 unrestrained 2-month-old twin babies.
Oh, my gosh.
God. Whose babies are those?
Well, good question. It sounds like they're hers, but that has not been 100% confirmed. Witnesses said Kirby struggled to stay awake while waiting for police and would occasionally wake up and yell.
You can't have those babies in there like that, man. You cannot have them babies in here like that. You got them in a crate.
No, I'm about to put my mobile wrap on the police.
No, you cannot. You can't do that.
The police just told me I can put my wrap.
You hear them crying? You hit bumps and potholes and stuff. You're going to break one of their legs.
Court documents show once officers found Kirby, she told them she always transported her children that way and didn't see anything wrong with it. Medics who treated the babies said the infant girl had sunburns, abrasions on her left hand, and minor scratches to her body. The boy also had sunburns and minor scratches, as well as a wound to the groin and an extreme rash. On Monday, she received her sentencing. She'll spend a year in prison and a year in probation.
Well, who's going to take care of those babies?
They went to the state for now.
I bet you when I was a kid, I got put in something worse than a milk crate.
They should keep her in a milk crate now.
Yeah.
That's
punishment.
her punishment.
A bicyclist riding down Interstate 35W was struck by an SUV Monday night.
What the hell are you doing riding your bicycle on 35W?
Yeah, it's a bad place to ride it. The incident happened around 6:45 p.m. while the bicyclist was traveling southbound on 35W near Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Traffic camera video shows the cyclist riding down a shoulder lane and then weaving into traffic before being hit by an SUV at a high speed.
Oh, no.
The biker suffered significant but non-life-threatening injuries and was transported to Hennepin Healthcare for further treatment. It should be obvious enough, but police did remind the public it's illegal to ride a bicycle on a major highway in Minnesota.
That would be terrifying.
This video is up on 93x.com. When I first started watching it, I thought the bike was just going to get clipped a little, but this SUV plowed into this biker.
Yeah, they didn't waste any contact there. That was full contact.
Yeah.
Also on 35W in Minneapolis Monday, 6 vehicles, including a Minnesota State Patrol squad car, were involved in a crash. It occurred southbound on the highway near 42nd Street about 5:20 p.m. The patrol said there were no injuries, luckily, from that crash. Workers cleared the scene fairly quickly. That crash, however, is under investigation. A dump truck traveling on State Road 429 in Orange County, Florida, struck a pole, causing a sign to fall on another vehicle. I bet that was scary. According to the crash report, the dump truck, driven by a 57-year-old man, was headed south when the truck hit a sign pole yesterday about 4:15 a.m. That sign then fell onto a Hyundai behind it.
This is a significant safety issue. There is still some of the sign that is flapping over and could potentially fall on other vehicles.
The driver of the Hyundai, a 27-year-old man, was uninjured. An investigation is ongoing into that incident as well. It must have looked for all the world that two police cars were racing to a crime scene. Instead, it was one law enforcement officer trying to stop another for speeding.
Really?
The strange scene unfolded in Orlando, where a deputy with the Seminole County Sheriff's Office spotted an Orlando Police Department SUV speeding but without emergency lights or a siren activated. Body cam footage from the deputy recorded the heated confrontation after the police SUV finally stops.
What? I am going into work, my man. Why are you trying to pull me over as I'm going into work?
Because you're going 80 and a 45.
I am going into work.
Okay, what are you going to work for?
What does it look like I'm dressed for?
What
does it look like I'm dressed for?
He is ticked.
Yeah.
80 and a 45, brah. When the deputy asks for the officer's license, the latter says no, gets back into his vehicle and drives away.
My name is Deputy Hilton, and they see your driver's license. No. 10-4, I got a city Orlando PD taking off from a traffic stop.
The deputy said he had to drive more than 90 to catch up with the Orlando police officer. The officer was later arrested and charged with speeding, reckless driving, resisting an officer, and felony fleeing from law enforcement.
Well, good. He sounds like a real prick.
Yeah, you should watch the video. He even looks like one.
Yep.
The Orlando Police Department said in a statement the officer's been relieved of duty pending the sheriff's criminal investigation and OPD's internal affairs investigation. He is out of a job, at least temporarily.
He is. Yeah, I mean, dude, we understand you're going to work. That doesn't explain going 80 and a 45.
There's a lot of people that are going to work.
Yeah, right.
Travel the speed. I bet he's pulled over a couple of people going to work.
That's a great point. That was great audio.
Here, I want to play again just in case it got missed at the beginning.
You're going 80 and a 45.
The cop that's pulled over. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen to that in the beginning.
What? I am going into work, my man. Why are you trying to pull me over as I'm going into work?
Because you're going 80 and a 45.
I am going into work.
Okay, what are you going to work for?
What does it look like I'm dressed for? What does it look like I'm dressed for?
He could have been a stripper.
That is great.
That's a good point.
I didn't even notice that the first time. I'm glad you pointed that out. First thing out of his mouth. What?
The cop even stuttered a little bit, like, what do you mean, what?
That's great.
A man is facing several charges after he was allegedly caught racing down a Florida freeway last week. At 1:30 p.m. Thursday, a trooper said a BMW and an Infiniti were speeding down the interstate in clear competition with each other, passing through traffic. The trooper pulled over the Infiniti while the BMW continued driving at an extremely high rate of speed. According to the arrest report, the driver, identified as 24-year-old DeMarcus Glover, was immediately detained. The trooper reported the smell of marijuana coming from the vehicle, where
smell of marijuana.
An 11-month-old and a 3-year-old were asleep in the back seat.
No.
Well, put him in a milk crate.
Yeah. The toddler was reportedly not even sitting in a child seat, much less a milk crate. A handgun was later allegedly found underneath the passenger seat, readily accessible, police said. Uh-oh. The arrest report said 13.6 grams of marijuana was allegedly found in 3 separate baggies inside that vehicle.
Did he tell the cops that the handgun and the weed belonged to the children that were in his car?
You'd have to.
Yeah.
And they were the one encouraging the race. Yeah. He didn't want to race.
I don't know about these kids, man. They're always bringing marijuana and handguns into my car.
And they've got a need for speed.
Mm-hmm.
Right now on the Luther Bloomington Kia text line, text the word CAPTAIN to 651-989-9393. That'll give you a shot to win a 4-pack of tickets to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show Booze Cruise happening Friday, June 30th in Stillwater, just a couple weeks away, furnished by Stillwater River Boats and sponsored by Anytime Bail Bonds. And if I could, I'd like to give a shout out to DJ Diamond. Just found out yesterday we got our DJ this year is DJ Diamond on the boat.
Are you going to drive the boat this time, Josh?
I don't know that the boat captain will let me.
He'll let you.
Will he just let me take a hold of the, what do they call it on a boat? Wheel, yoke?
Helm?
Helm? Yeah, if he'll take
all of those work.
That'll all work? Yeah, if he'll let me, I wouldn't mind honking the horn, something like that.
Dude, no, you got to. Let's gun it. Let's let her buck.
Season 2 of The Wonder Years, the reboot, begins tonight on ABC.
Oh, yeah. Have you tried the new Wonder Years?
I watched the first couple episodes. I haven't got too much past that. Have you tried it?
No. I haven't watched The Wonder Years since I probably could have been a character on The Wonder Years the last time I watched The Wonder Years.
Academy Award-winning former Minneapolis exotic dancer who wrote Juno and then created the Showtime series United States of Terra, as well as wrote Jennifer's Body, Young Adult, and Ricky and the Flash, Diablo Cody, 45 today. Happy birthday to Malibu Jesus, and congrats on winning the 8th grade Geography B. That's from Minnesota Two-Step Jesus. Happy birthday to one amazing wife, Shmomo Jesus, from Underwhelmingly Optimistic Jesus. Happy 49th to Sneaker Jesus, and best of luck to Ken, headed to Mayo for his 1-year transplant checkup. And that's 93X News.
Care 11's Randy Shaver.
Cornhole capital of the world.
On the Half-Assed Morning Show.
I wish he played one more year with Green Bay. Honestly, their fans are really just the way they're just freaking obnoxious, just yelling and all that other stuff about things that don't even matter. Half of them don't even know football. It's so weird to me. I want to go out there and I want to beat the hell out of them, on their field. And I want to hear the boos then. That's what I look forward to.
Yeah, my dumps were super smooth. Was that Brad?
Who do we have here? The Ass Man and the Lonely Boy?
Is that Brad talking?
Yes, it is now.
Hell yeah. What's up, you stupid bastards?
Oh, come on now. Don't call Brad that.
I think it was plural.
It was. Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder. What's going on? Who's this Chicago Bears player? Justin Jones?
Yeah.
Do you guys know who that is?
He's a defensive tackle, and he wishes that Aaron Rodgers was still with the Packers.
So he could tear his arms
He
off
wants
and
to go beat him
up.
And he doesn't like Packer fans.
He doesn't like him. He called him obnoxious. He says half of them don't even know football.
Well, he just became the Bears fans' new favorite player because those two teams do not like each other.
No, they don't, Brad Ryder. That's funny. So someone put a mic in this guy's face at, what do they call it, OTAs, and he decided to tee off on Packer backers. That's cute. That is. What are you guys up to? Big day for Randy Shaver today. He doesn't have to watch the NHL anymore.
Thank God. What a blowout last night. Wow.
Yeah, the Vegas Golden Knights, they opened up the floodgates last night at home and threw a 8-3 whooping on the Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup. 9-3. Yes. If you count a greatly disrespectful empty net goal.
Well, there were 2 empty net goals.
Were there 2 of them?
Yeah.
Oh, I only saw 1.
Oh,
no, there were 2.
Maybe the last one wasn't. Maybe the last one wasn't empty net. I know the Stone goal late was.
Yeah, I only saw 1.
Okay.
Disrespect. While you're at it, you might as well just pull Gordie Howe up out of his grave and punch him in the balls. To score an empty net goal in the deciding game of a Stanley Cup final. And I know there was a stat last night that this Mark Stone of the Golden Knights, there was a stat saying he was the first player since 1922 to net a hat trick in a Stanley Cup deciding game. That's not a hat trick. 2 goals in an empty netter is not a hat trick.
Technically it is.
No, it isn't.
Technically it is.
Yes, 9-3 if you count goals that disrespect the heritage of the game.
Of Las Vegas, finally. Thank God. Now we can all rest.
There was a sign in the crowd last night that said, "We waited 6 long years for this."
God dang it! I had some text messages. Yeah, I did have some text messages. Was it overly optimistic Vikings fan Jesus? Now I can't remember who it was who texted about Vegas winning the Cup last night. He texted, "Welp, it's been a long time coming."
Yep.
And then there's racehorse trainer Jesus, who texted in from Ocala, Florida. He's a little bummed out that the Panthers got steamrolled and were defeated in 5 games, but he had an interesting comment about his 78-year-old mother watching the game last night. They're both rooting for the Panther. His mother noted last night how she thought it was kind of gross, and she said, think of the germs, as she watched all the players pass the Stanley Cup back and forth, and they're all kissing it. His mother said, ooh, think of the germs.
I'd be okay with those germs.
But then she said, well, I guess it's just like the girls that they pass around on the road.
Whoa.
Mom.
What's up with that?
It's a 78-year-old mother talking like that. Ocala, Florida, their racehorse trainer, Jesus.
It's probably not something you want to hear out of your mom either. Like,
well, what I just...
Yeah, but I mean, you start to think about what mom used to do then.
Oh.
Go ahead.
That's how you got here.
That's filthy stuff, Brad.
That's what mom did.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the Vegas Golden Knights, they just got started, 5-6 years ago?
Yep. Yeah, 6 years ago.
They went to the final in their first year, didn't they?
That's right.
Yep.
Came up short, right?
What a scam.
And what have the Wild done the last 6 years? Ooh.
Well, usually wet the bed in the first or the second round.
I think the record is 9-19 in the playoffs.
The Pigs' record in the last 5-6 years in the playoffs is 9-19?
Something like that. I thought I saw that stat last night.
You know who's jealous of that playoff record? The Twins.
or any other team in town.
Yeah, really.
Florida flat out couldn't keep up anymore. Their legs were cooked. They were without their two best players, and they had a hell of a run. The Florida Panthers. Terrific. But the better club won, and I think, you're missing Kachuk. You're missing, I forget the name of their top defenseman who fell down a couple games ago, and he couldn't come back. But more than anything, didn't it look like Vegas still had a lot of legs and Florida had nothing? That's what it looked like to me. Marchessault, I can't think of his first name. Chubbs Marchessault. What were the...
Jonathan
Marchessault.
Yeah, Chubbs.
Was named tournament MVP. Good for Ryan Suter. He'll get his name etched onto the cup as well. And finally, a reason for folks to drink until they seize up in Las Vegas, Nevada, right? Right now, I bet there's a stripper sitting at a bus stop cubby, and she's counting out a stack of $100 bills she made last night saying, what the hell is the Stanley Cup?
Well, don't they get now free lap dances or something for life?
There is a club.
Oh, yeah. So it's all tips
you
for
told
these
us
ladies.
About that.
I forgot the name of the club, but there was a gang of strippers out there in Las Vegas who said if the boys win it all, VIP membership and free lap dances. Give it to him, Wapple, like you're a member of the old NWO Black and White.
For life.
That's right, for life. So there you go.
Looks like it's the Hustler Club.
That must have been their incentive to win. The Hustler Club, Josh?
Must have been some level of incentive. Yes, the Larry Flint Hustler Club or whatever. I think, you got it right. So the better club won. That is a terrific hockey team that they have in Las Vegas. Terrific hockey team.
Has that GM been with them since the beginning?
I wouldn't know the GM if he was fondling my genitalia.
Well,
who is the GM of the...
Well, that's an interesting answer.
Wait till you ask about some of the assistant coaches and whatnot.
I just don't... I don't know if it's the same guy, if it's been the same person the whole time, but that person needs to be...
What's his name?
Saluted. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just saying, whoever has been in charge of building the roster in Las Vegas needs to be saluted because they have done an amazing job.
I think there was some hint after the game last night when some of the commentators were talking that whoever this guy is, and I don't remember his name either, has been there since the beginning.
Kelly McCrimmon?
Oh, Kelly McCrimmon. He's a former player. He played for the Argonauts.
Because they said that he actually, but when they started 6 years ago, he said within 6 years we will win a Stanley Cup.
Oh, that's the owner said that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's the owner. Kelly, maybe I'm getting him, maybe I'm thinking of Kelly Bookberger, but Kelly McCrimmon sounds like a former player if he's the GM.
He played, but it doesn't look like the NHL.
Okay, then I'm thinking of Kelly Bookberger. Anyway, I'm not trying to get all conspiracy theory on you. Isn't it a little suspicious that, okay, of course the NHL wants hockey to thrive in these weirdo markets like Las Vegas, and they go to the Cup in their very first year?
Little sus.
6 years later, they hoist the sumbitch. Isn't it a little? The same. I often ask myself, okay, how did really tell me the true story as to how the New York Yankees got Aaron Judge? Tell me the true story. Anyone think there was some shady things going on in either of those setups? Huh?
I don't remember how they ended up.
I think they drafted him.
Yeah. Oh, is that what they did, Brad? Did they draft him? Because remember when Aaron Judge ended up on the Yankees, they hadn't won the division for a couple of years, the Yankee dynasty dying, and then they get this 7-foot-tall guy who can hit 560-foot home run.
It's kind of like San Antonio winning the lottery and getting the young kid from France.
Right.
I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Right?
It's shady. All of this stuff is kind of shady, isn't it, Josh?
Well, I'm glad you see through it. Yeah. You've enlightened me.
Look, just like the environment.
There is no environment.
There's no such thing as the environment.
The earth is flat. The sun isn't real.
All right.
Neither are birds.
Baseball is going to end up moving to Vegas within the next few years.
Right.
Oakland is going to move.
Right.
And then they'll end up getting an NBA team at some point too.
Yes,
and then their NFL team, their NBA team, and their NHL team will all win championships before we do. And it'll make us feel even better.
Probably true.
They've played it out perfectly, Brad Ryder. That's exactly where I'm going with this.
That will hurt, though. The way before us, that would hurt.
What would hurt?
If they won all those championships before we even got a chance.
Like the Raiders and the
baseball
Athletics.
team
Their future baseball team, yeah.
There's a lot of NFL teams that have done that ahead of the Vikings.
Baseball would hurt the most. That would hurt.
That just brought up a question, and we don't have to worry about this for a couple years yet, but when the Athletics go to Vegas, are they going to change the team name? They
probably.
Likely, yeah.
Although, it's funny, weren't they the Athletics in Kansas City before they
Philadelphia,
left?
I thought.
Philadelphia. I think they have stayed the Athletics, haven't they, through their entire journey?
Were they in Philadelphia? It was Philadelphia. I'm correct, aren't I?
I thought
Pulling
they were
it up.
Maybe it was both. Maybe it was
Kansas City and Philly.
Yeah.
It was both. Mm-hmm. Well, the Raiders didn't change their name. Maybe they won't either.
I hope not.
They might not.
I hope not. But I could
Vegas
just see
Athletics makes sense. That works.
But I could see because it's Vegas, they'd put some.
They might change their colors.
The laser wolves or something ridiculous.
Oh, dang. That's sweet.
They're saving that for the basketball team that moves there from here.
You think that you think they're going to get a basketball team as well?
Probably.
They were going to take ours.
Oh, you said they're going to take the Timberwolves. Oh,
yeah,
I see.
And become the Laser Wolves.
Yeah, that's sick.
The laser.
That'd be cool. They probably put on light shows and stuff.
Yeah, I bet that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks like the team president said that there's no plans to change the name at all.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's a historic name. Yeah, it's so simple. It's beautiful.
Right. We've been around since 1901. We have no plans to change.
That's good.
Yeah, they say
just location.
Just a location. Yeah.
And fan bases.
After they won the cup, I guess Jack Eichel of the Golden Knights said, I'm not an idiot. I do know who Charles Barkley is, going back to that story where Charles ran into Jack Eichel and said, I think you're a great player. And according to Charles, Jack looked at him as if he had never seen him before in his life.
So yesterday I was at the hotel. I walked up to Jack Eichel and said how great he was. I think he had zero idea who I was. I said, hey, Mr. Eichel, it's an honor. You're a great player. But he looked at me like, who the hell are you? It was pretty funny.
I think that was a little unfortunate. I think it was taken out of context. I was in a conversation with somebody, and he came by and introduced himself. We said hi quick, and he said, I don't want to interrupt you. And he kind of just kept on walking down the road, and that was the extent of it. Of course, I know who Charles Barkley is. I don't think there's anyone on the planet who doesn't.
Hey, this is an interesting text from Small Pecker from Becker Jesus. From Becker. But he says he's lived in Las Vegas since the year 2001.
Oh, wow.
And he said he feels a lot of joy from what the Golden Knights put together last night. He said, I haven't had this feeling since the 1991 Twins won the Winston Cup or whatever that was. It was the World Series.
I would like to check out a game in Vegas.
I'm sure there's a lot of transplanted northern state people who now live in Vegas.
Isn't that about 75% of the population?
Right.
That's what I always heard.
Who have to be absolutely thrilled that professional sports have finally made their way to Las Vegas. I mean, it turns it into big time town.
Well, isn't that why like Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay have such a big fan base? They have all the
snowbirds.
Yeah, the snowbirds.
Here's a listener that says, I don't think it's some great conspiracy that made Vegas such a great hockey team.
No.
This individual says it's fairly well documented that the expansion draft rules were very favorable when Vegas came into the league. Whoever put that team together knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what they mean by that. Are you saying it was shady or not shady?
No, it wasn't shady.
Not shady, they're saying.
I didn't try to imply that either. I just
I know you didn't.
I'm giving credit to the general manager to have, well, first of all, that first year was amazing for them to do what they did.
Yeah, it's pretty shady.
But they've made a lot of savvy moves between now and then to, build the roster the way it was this year too.
It was all pretty shady.
Yeah,
That's what Randy's saying.
I think they've got six original members of the first team still on this team.
I mean, the expansion draft is a nice deal.
Mm-hmm.
Every team's got to give up a couple. That's a nice deal.
Because wasn't it you can only save 3 players you didn't want to lose or something like that?
I don't remember how it works. It didn't work so well for the Pigs.
For the Timberwolves, it didn't work so well either, man.
Well, yeah, that was a long time ago. Maybe basketball is different than baseball.
Yeah.
Really, I don't know how expansion drafts work if you want to compare basketball to hockey.
What do you mean?
Sorry.
We got Rick Mahorn out of that.
Yeah, he never played a single game. But really, I mean, the Man-Bear Pigs, they weren't loaded. Remember their first year? They weren't loaded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, the leading scorer was, for a stretch of time, was Stacy Roost, for Christ's sake, I think the expansion draft has maybe some people who follow hockey way closer than I do these days could tell me.
Let's revisit the Timberwolves expansion draft for 1 second.
Go ahead.
It up here.
Go ahead. No, wait a minute. We're doing Timberwolves or Pigs?
The Timberwolves.
We're going back to basketball now. Okay.
You find if you want to find the Wild, do that.
I can't do that.
Rick Mahorn. Tyrone Corbin.
Yeah, Tyrone was terrific. Pooh Richardson.
Yep. Well, Pooh Richardson was a draft.
We drafted Pooh Richardson.
Oh, right.
Steve Johnson, who I don't think ever played for them.
Right.
Brad Lohaus.
He was
out of Iowa.
Didn't play much, but he was all right.
David Rivers. I don't even remember.
I remember he played for the Lakers.
Mark Davis. Scott Roth, who played here for a while.
He put in some good minutes.
And that's it. So,
okay.
I mean, there really wasn't anybody else from that expansion draft. So, yeah, that was not. I mean, obviously, the Wolves did not benefit greatly from that either.
I'm going to look up the Pigs.
Orlando was in the same expansion draft, and I mean, the only guy that I see that I recognize really is Scott Skiles.
Scotty Skiles.
Scott Skiles.
Michigan State.
What about Michigan State?
Scott Skiles is from Michigan State.
Oh, sure.
Put down your phone, medical device, Jesus. You don't need to say it.
Oh, Reggie Theus. I take that back. Orlando took Reggie Theus too.
I'm trying to look up this expansion draft for the Man-Bear Pigs. Their very first. I'm no good at this internet.
Here, I'll look it up.
Someone look it up that knows how to run the internet. Put the celebratory joint sticks down while we stay with hockey here. Snoop Dogg will not be the next owner of the Ottawa Senators. They've opted to sell their team to another bidder. I think we discussed this, that Snoop Dogg and a group of other rich folks from L.A. wanted to buy the Senators. He was very excited about it. He's a big hockey fan, but they're going with some other douche.
Who's better than Snoop?
Apparently, Toronto billionaire Michael Andlauer.
Whoever that is, I bet he can't rap.
Are you ready, Nick?
Okay, what are you going to cover here, Randy?
This is the Wild expansion draft.
These are the live human beings that they picked up before they ever took the ice.
From the year 2000.
Yes.
Jamie McLennan, the goalie from St. Louis.
Sure.
Mike Vernon, goalie from Florida.
Never played for him.
Chris Terreri.
Also a goaltender, never played for him.
From the Devils. Mm-hmm. Sean O'Donnell, defenseman from the Kings.
He was okay.
Chris Leishman.
Curtis. I'm trying my best.
Leishman?
No, you're way off. Okay. Curtis Leschyshyn. From Colorado. He was very good.
Actually, Carolina at the time.
Oh, well, he was a terrific defenseman.
Ladislav Benecek.
Yes. He played.
Chris Armstrong.
Played very limited.
Philip Kuba, who ended up playing here for a while.
Philippe ended up being an all-star. Philippe Kuba. Which is
Oleg,
maybe a charity move that he got. But he was a good defenseman.
Orgovsky.
Don't remember.
Oleg Orgovsky. Ian Herbers.
Nothing.
And the rest of the names. Stacy Roost.
Yeah.
Daryl LaPlante.
Yeah.
Jim Dowd, who was like the 30th pick in the expansion draft.
It's just one of those things.
It is
Jimmy
just one of
Dowd,
those
man.
things. Darby.
Darby, 43rd.
Oh, Darby was 43rd, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, and then I guess I forgot, too, but we had Columbus Blue Jackets that came in that same year, too.
Yeah, they did.
That's
So
correct.
it's like, you had to go against them, I guess, for draft picks.
Interesting stuff.
There you go.
I like ripping through those old names. Well, last night's Twins game against Milwaukee turned out to be an all-timer. By damn, it did.
Great finish.
Reminded me of the great ninth inning the Twins had years ago at home versus Detroit that ended in that Brian Dozier walk-off.
Dozier home. Yeah, I was going to say that call by Dick Bramer was amazing.
Great effing finish last night. Carlos Correa smashes a 2-run dong in the bottom of the ninth to walk off the Brewers. The final
Part of a
7-5.
Four-run ninth
Yes,
inning,
it was.
by the way. Yeah.
Now Correa 0 for 4 on the night. A drive to left. Back and gone. Carlos Correa's signature moment in his year and a half for the Twins.
What an inning. And what at-bats against one of the best closers in all of baseball who hasn't given up much. What a ball game, what an effort. This is the kind of one that can really propel your season going forward.
That ballpark was up for effing grabs.
That was the first blown save by Devin Williams all year, too.
Oh, yeah, he hadn't been touched this season.
Yeah.
And he gives up. He never got an out.
He did not get
He
an
never
out.
recorded an out.
That's true. The Twins did not have an out in the inning.
Wapple had tickets to the game last night. He went to the game. He left in the top of the ninth inning.
I even said something when I was looking up the score of the game, like, oh, I hope nobody left at the bottom of the eighth or something.
You know what? Here's the deal. There's no excuse now to leave early. The games go so dang fast. It's like, what are you saving? 10 minutes? I mean, really? I mean,
God, no. I got home at 10 o'clock. I probably would have been home at 11:30. Got 3 hours of sleep.
Well, Wapple mentioned
Why would
to
you
me
have not
that
gotten home till 11:30?
Like,
they were in the ninth inning.
Were you
at
walking
8:30
to
last
Woodbury?
night.
What the hell are you talking about?
Just everyone, in the parking ramps, and then everyone going 94 west.
Oh, my God. You sound like you're 50 years old right now.
Totally.
You sound like a fat old man.
Totally.
I'm with Wapple. All that Wisconsin traffic.
Don't get me wrong. I know all there is to know about that anxiety at a ball game when you have to get up at 3 o'clock in the godforsaken morning. I know all about. We all know all about it. Mm-hmm. But son of a bitch, that has to sting, Wapple, that you walked out on that SOB.
Oh, yeah, just listening to it in the radio, like, son of a...
Well, what was the stat that said at that point Milwaukee had like a 99.8% chance of winning the game? So
really?
The odds were in Wapple's favor that he wasn't going to see anything cool.
Dang, man. But it was a hell of a deal. Like we were saying, this Williams guy, Williams is the name, the Brewers closer. He's barely been touched this season. He never recorded an out in the half inning. The Twins started the ninth with a dong. Correa wasn't the only dong in the inning. Michael A. Taylor got things going with a yard sale. Julian walked. Pinch runner Willie Castro stole second, which was a very exciting play that Wapple missed.
But he heard it on the radio.
Castro comes home on Donovan Solano's single. That tied the game. And then Correa's 13th walk-off hit in his career. That was great. Did you see what Correa did after he made contact and knew it was Gonski?
Mm-mm.
He pointed at his watch as if to say, "It's time."
Nice. That's cold.
It's time. And I like this quote from Edouard Julien, the rookie, who got on base, like I just mentioned, in the bottom of the ninth. He said Correa pointing to his watch was probably one of the coolest moments I've ever seen on a baseball field. The Brewers fell to 28-1 when leading after 8 innings. And now they've lost 5 in a row. But that was an exciting deal.
A bunch of my friends were over at the game from Wisconsin, and it feels so good that the Twins won because of that reason.
Rock solid pitching performances really by both Lopez and Burns. They were both were decent last night. Both probably deserved a better fate than getting a no decision. But yeah, just a great comeback. And I agree with Justin Morneau. It's this could be the kind of game that maybe gets the Twins going. And the fact that the rest of the division is so bad right now and seems to be getting worse, what a great opportunity for the Twins to increase their lead in the division.
There you go.
By the way, I saw Dick Bramer yesterday afternoon at Target Field, and he told me the Ashley secret, and boy, it's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear about this, Ashley?
No.
Oh, it's a good one.
Ashley's secret.
Dick talked to Louis Varland.
Uh-huh.
And
We
he
got
had
the inside scoop.
He had some information here for you yesterday when Dick was on our program. But, of course, you weren't here. So now we have to sit on it until Dick returns, next Tuesday.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah,
I guess
maybe
I'm going to have to listen Tuesday.
Oh,
I want to hear too.
Yeah.
Maybe Louis wants to be your second of what assuredly will be many husbands.
Oh, my God.
Randy, I don't think we told you what Nick did to me.
Oh, this.
Yeah, he brought it up yesterday.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You weren't here. I told the story to Dick yesterday and Randy Shaver and everybody.
Yeah, that was good. I put it in a frame. It's in my living room.
Bailey Ober's going to pitch today noon on BSN if you're not going to the ball game. Bailey Ober. Hey, it sounds like Kente Maeda might be ready to go here pretty soon.
Ooh, wow. That'd be good.
I like Kente.
Probably a bullpen role for him, though, wouldn't you think, at this point?
Really? You think they're going to throw him into the...
Or maybe they'll send him down to St. Paul and get a few starts. And
Well, I think he has been doing that.
I think he's been in St. Paul.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just thinking long relief at this point. Who do you pull? Do you really pull Bailey Ober?
Well,
at
I
this
think
point?
I think you pull Louis.
I don't
No
know.
offense, Ashley.
Louis hasn't pitched that bad.
No, but
I
it's
don't
Kente
know.
Maeda, for Christ's sake. The guy is proven.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
All right, here's something for you. Pat Sajak is retiring from hosting the television show Wheel of Fortune, huh?
All done after next season.
Man.
41 years.
He's got one more year, he says?
One more season.
It's not going to be the same without him.
He's doing the old Coach K victory lap thing. Announce you're going to retire, and then let everybody just shower you with praise for all year.
That's the way to do it, man.
It's douchey.
Is that what you're going to do?
Which is why this morning I'm announcing it.
That would be awesome, Randy. When it comes to retirement, can you announce it first on the show here?
That's a good one, Ashley. You're right.
You know what? If I decide to do that, I will.
Yes.
That's kind of douchey. Really, honestly.
On a day Nick's not on the show.
Really, honestly, Coach K is a good example. That really, it came off kind of douchey.
Mm-hmm. And didn't Jeter did it too?
For whatever reason, the Coach K thing. Well, let's see what gift they present me at this arena.
Yeah.
Oh, is it a rocking chair? That's hilarious. Oh, and a brand new car.
There's been others that have.
Well, of course there have been other. I'm not pointing. I'm just. Dana brought up Coach Vasilevsky. How did your friend say it again?
Vasilevsky.
Good luck, Coach Vasilevsky. I can't even say. All right, so Pat Sajak. I don't know why anybody would come up with this, but SI.com came up with 5 sports figures we'd like to see replace Pat Sajak as Wheel of Fortune host if, in fact, they decide to dip into the sports world. Okay. Do you guys watch Wheel of Fortune regularly?
I haven't in years.
Yeah, I like to throw it on.
I assume they've announced they're going to continue the show without Pat. Is that correct?
They have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they think they already have a couple of contenders for a replacement.
okay.
What about his daughter? Didn't she?
That's
do it for
one
a
of
little
them.
bit? That'd be
A
cool.
lot of people are texting in, and yes, his daughter is indeed a smoke show.
His daughter has experience hosting television programming.
She filled in for Vanna, and she does like behind the scenes social media work with the show.
And
She's
you
kind of
said-
like a part of it now.
Right now, the front runner is Ryan Seacrest.
Okay.
And then they talked about Pat Sajak's daughter and even Vanna White being a possibility.
You said that Pat Sajak's daughter is a very attractive young lady.
She
yeah.
is indeed.
Can somebody find me a... You say it, Wapple.
Pitcher Wapple.
Oh, don't... How do you go against your own gimmick? 5 sports figures that could replace Patrick Sajak as...
I know.
Josh just showed me a picture of... What's her name?
Maggie Sajak.
Maggie Sajak.
My goodness.
5 sports figures who they'd like to replace Pat. Charles Barkley.
Yeah, he'd be great.
Be fun for an episode or two. I don't know if I could take it long term.
I'd love
I'm not sure he'd want to dig in and do every show either.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
this
maybe
is
Shaq over him.
Because don't they tape like 3 or 4 shows a day or
well.
something
Let's
like
just
that?
assume, for conversation's sake, that these people would be excited about it. Of course, I don't know anybody who would want to tape 3 shows in a day, same gimmick and over and over again. I mean, at least we're live. If we had to tape this, I would punch myself in the balls. Charles Barkley. It says here, Josh, he would be great because of one simple reason. He has no filter.
No filter.
Does he tell it like it is?
Oh,
He does.
I would like to hear him pronounce the puzzles, too, at the very end.
Oh, Barkley would knock it out of the park. Another suggestion would be terrific college basketball announcer Gus Johnson.
Oh, sure.
He'd be so excited if somebody won that grand prize at the end, you know.
He'd be climbing the walls. Climbing the walls.
Be dancing on the wheel.
Peyton and Eli Manning as a team.
They make Eli turn the letters over.
That would be funny.
That'd be good.
That'd be funny as hell. And this is a terrible suggestion, but people just can't let it go with this doofus, Rob Gronkowski.
It'd be fun watching him try to read the puzzles.
But you know what? They're missing a sport where the personalities are better than any other, and that's, of course, television wrestling.
Ooh.
There's no greater personalities in any sport than what about Maxwell Jacob Friedman?
Oh, my God. They'd have to have a dump button.
Oh, he got a foul mouth?
Who is, really, honestly, at this point, he's only been in the business, what, Wapple, 5-6 years?
Yeah, something like that.
At this point, I think it is fair to say he is the greatest on the mic of anyone who's ever done it.
Mm-hmm.
You can watch, I challenge you to watch 30 MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman promos, and find him to stutter or stammer even once.
He doesn't even bring out paper or anything like that. It's just all off the top of his head.
He was absolutely born to do it. Kevin Owens as a host of Wheel of Fortune.
That'd be good, too.
Would absolutely knock it out of the park. Everyone would know who Kevin Owens is if he took that job. That's how bright and clever and funny he is.
What about Santino Marella?
Oh, what are you stammering about, Randy?
I disagree, and the reason why I disagree is that if you look at the demographics of who watches Wheel of Fortune, it's an older audience, and they're not going to know who these people are.
Well, who cares if they know? The point is that they'd show up and prove themselves. Kevin Owens and MJF would have the old-timers won over in 5 minutes. I'm not just throwing these names out there just to talk wrestling. These people are that good. The Miz? You don't think your grandmother would?
Miz would be
That's
great.
a great suggestion.
You don't think your great-grandma would fall in love with The Miz?
The Miz, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
What about...
And then Maurice could flip the letters.
Maurice! Wapple, Maurice!
I'm surprised they didn't put your guy Tom Brady on that list.
Well, he's working for Fox. He can't do that.
Don Callis. Colt Cabana.
Boom, boom.
What about, I don't know. Cactus Jack.
Bang, bang.
What
Nice
about,
waffle.
I don't know, Adam Cole, baby!
Oh, that would be a dreamboat. All the women would love that.
Yeah, they
Look
would.
into his eyes.
He's very cute. People are still talking about the Denver Nuggets and their stinking championship from the other night. Nikola Jokic, just the guy's so even keel, you know. We were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
He had a quote in here somewhere. Somebody was interviewing Nikola Jokic, and they asked him about, being drafted 41st overall. When he was drafted on the program, on the television program, the NBA draft television coverage, when he was drafted at the same time they were running a Taco Bell commercial.
That's correct.
You were the 41st pick in the draft. A Taco Bell commercial was running when your pick was announced. What do you think of that now?
They believe in the fat boy, and it seems like it worked out. Yeah, don't bet against the fat boy.
If you didn't understand what he was saying, he said that they didn't believe in the fat boy. Don't ever bet against the fat boy. Remember the picture of him when he was 12?
Oh, yeah.
He looked like he couldn't cross the room without getting some oxygen, you know.
This was the guy who could not stop eating candy, right? I mean,
I don't know. I didn't know that.
I think that's the story. I think the story is that he just could not stop eating candy, and once they finally persuaded him to clean up his diet is when he actually, became a great player.
Well, I have troubles with candy and sweets.
You do love sweets.
I do.
Well, I think part of the issue with him, and I've heard this story too, is that over, in Serbia, they don't have that. And so when he came over here, he just couldn't stop eating it.
I did not know that.
Imagine coming over here. You've never seen junk food like what we have here in the States.
Well, Ricky Rubio and peanut butter.
Oh, that was adorable.
Oh, I'd go in. I can't imagine the amount of fast food I would
Somebody
eat.
hands you a basket of Little Debbie snack cakes or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's all over.
Snicker bars and all. I'd go crazy.
I bet you could put your body into shock doing that.
Maybe you could overdose. Here's a guy who's coming off a little butthurt about the Denver Nuggets winning it all. A Philadelphia radio guy. I'm sorry, I don't have his name. He called the Denver Nuggets title meaningless, and he insists that Joel Embiid is a better player than Nikola Jokic.
Oh, please.
No. That's good stuff. He said, give them their meaningless ring and let's get back to the NBA being interesting again. This guy's upset.
Somebody on the East Coast didn't win it. Cry me a river.
Back to who folks would like to see host of the Barrel of Fortune. What the hell is it called again? The Wheel of Fortune.
Barrel of
Fortune.
Back to who we would like to see host Wheel of Fortune. One individual, a listener by the name of Uncle Pun Jesus. Oh, Josh would like to have you on a road trip if you're a pun guy. Uncle Pun Jesus says, forget about real people. Let's have Elmo as the host. You guys
scares me.
Did you love Elmo?
Oh, no, yeah. A little too old for Elmo.
I love Elmo.
Him and his goldfish just freaked me out.
He had a goldfish?
Yeah, Goldie, right? I think.
I have no idea.
Been a while since I've kept up with the program.
Jesse the Body Ventura hosting Wheel of Fortune. How does the show go again? What do they try to spell something? What was?
Spin the wheel. They get a dollar amount. They guess a letter. And they get that money if they get it right, and then they solve the puzzle.
So what would Jesse possibly say during the show? Let's try to solve the puzzle.
Yeah, or we could encourage him to buy a vowel.
Buy a U.
How about somebody buys a vowel? We'll be right back after this. What else is going on around here? So there are 8 NBA franchises that have yet to win either an ABA or NBA title. The Nuggets, after many years in the business, 56 years, the Nuggets won their very first title. Yep. They never won an ABA title or an NBA title. Yep. The Indiana Pacers and now they're called the Brooklyn Nets. They won some ABA titles, but have never won an NBA title. So which franchise, here in an article from Yardbarker, which franchise will follow Denver and win their first championship? These are the 8 teams that have never won a championship in order from least likely to be the next to win their first, if you're following what I'm saying.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
From least likely to most likely.
Okay.
And there's 8 of them. 8 Charlotte Hornets. They say the Hornets have LaMelo Ball and not much else.
No.
Number 7, the Orlando Magic. You've got some nice pieces in there, but they say...
Yeah, they played better this year.
Yeah.
They certainly did.
They have reached the finals twice, once with Shaq and once with Dwight Howard. But
yeah, there's some history there, and they do have some good young talent. Yep.
Utah Jazz, thanks to the Timberwolves, they're pretty well stacked.
Yeah.
They come in as the 6th best odds to be a franchise to win their first. Number 5 is a Timberwolves.
No.
You'd have them lower or higher?
I'd have them lower.
They talk about A1 for the love of God, day one.
I might put them below Utah, but ahead of those other 2 teams.
A1 from day one.
He's a great player, but they need so much more than that.
They say here in the article from Yardbarker, with a couple of tweaks to its roster, Minnesota could eventually win a championship.
No.
The teams with the higher odds, number 4 would be the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yes.
Number 3, the Memphis Grizzly.
Yes.
2, Los Angeles Clipper. And number 1.
The Clippers are always evolving, though. It's tough to figure out what the Clippers really are.
Right when you think they're going in a certain direction, they take a step back.
They have the potential to get some free agents some year and fill in some gaps, and
But that's all they are. They really never built from the bottom up. They're always a rent-a-player type of organization. So,
Ashley, our listeners are saying that Elmo's fish is named Dorothy.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And the team with the best odds to be the next NBA team to win their very first championship is the Phoenix Suns.
I say no.
Well,
I disagree with that, too. I say Memphis is... If Memphis can figure out...
They're on the verge of falling apart.
I know that. But there's if Morant can figure out his life, he's such a great player.
Yes.
And you put 2 or 3 other veteran guys around him, they really do have the nucleus to be, I think...
they got some great players.
All the teams.
They got
I think Phoenix is evolving, too, though. I mean,
I would
Booker,
slide Utah up a few notches on that.
I would too.
Yeah, they look very good lately. They look great
with
last
the
year.
emergence of the center that the Wolves could have taken or did draft.
And with the Wolves sending him a first-round draft pick every year for the next 17 years for a guy who has the same offensive skill level as a high school player.
Brad. I think the Jazz are definitely should be higher on that list.
What was I saying? Something here about Charlotte Hornets LaMelo Ball. Okay. LiAngelo Ball. His brother plays for who? Chicago?
No, that's
Lonzo?
No, that's Lonzo. He's been hurt.
LiAngelo, does he play in the NBA?
That must be a younger brother.
I think he's the younger one.
Okay.
He's the youngest one. I don't think he's there yet.
He has a baby on the way. LiAngelo Ball has a baby on the way, and he's sticking with the family name theme. So you've got LiAngelo, LaMelo, I just said it, Lonzo. The dad is, what is the dad again? Lamar?
Lamar.
LaVar.
Yep.
They're sticking with the L theme when this LiAngelo's kid falls out. It's going to be a boy, and he's already decided to name it LaVello.
I was hoping it was something boring like Larry.
Yeah, it looks like he plays in the G League. He's with the Greensboro Swarm.
Oh, you can't just be a nobody and play for the Greensville Swarm. But listen to this. I mean, they're really sticking with the L. There are uncles in the family named LaFrance. Okay. LaVale. So you've got a Laval and a LaVale. Lorenzo and LaShawn. I know a guy. I've worked with a guy for many years who everyone in the family has the same first letter in their name.
I know a guy like that, too.
Right, Randy?
Right.
That's cute. What you guys did was cute.
Yeah.
I just want to go on record to say that I don't care if Stephon Diggs is pouting about this and that in Buffalo. We need to get over Stephon Diggs around here.
I don't care about it either.
I got a bunch of you see what text messages. Stephon Diggs isn't showing up for. I don't care about Steph. I didn't care about him when he was here.
He'll be there when it matters.
Yes, who cares?
First of all, why are we caring about any football right now? It drives me crazy.
Right.
That we're talking about mini camp and who gives a crap?
Don't care.
It's not football season right now. We should be talking about the finishing of the NBA season and the NHL season. We should be talking about baseball. I mean, it just drives me nuts that local sports are talking about Vikings football right now. I don't care. It's not relevant right now.
It's always been that way, though. I'm not defending it. I agree with you 100%, but it's always been that way.
It hasn't always been that way, Brad.
It hasn't always been that way. I disagree,
No,
Brad.
maybe in the last 15 or so years, it hasn't always been this ridiculous.
I mean, when you live in Denver, before they got hockey and baseball, the Broncos were, that's all they talked about. I get that, because if it's the only show in town, I get it. But it's not the only show in town here. And yes, Vikings are important. Don't get me wrong. But not in the middle of June.
It's maddening. It's madness.
It's just ridiculous.
I said it years ago. A lot of people are football drunk. They're football drunk. They can't shake it.
One of my friends posted like a couple weeks ago, can't wait or already ready for football season. I was like, stop it.
No. Tell them to shut up.
I don't care if Justin Jefferson showed up for minicamp. Who cares?
I don't.
I'll care when it's game one.
Right.
Then I'll care.
Hey, by the way, East Winstead Jesus texted in, and he said that article from SI, I think it was, or Yardbarker, about the NBA teams that are headed for possibly their first championship. He said, what about Sacramento?
Oh.
Didn't they win one way back in the day when they were in Kansas City or something?
They might have. They might have won an ABA title.
That's probably why they're not on the list.
Dad, did they win one as the Kansas City? Did they win a title as the Kansas City Kings?
They might have.
They might have.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Finally,
I would put them on that list.
They're very good.
Sure. Yes.
They must have won something, or they would have been on that list.
1951. When they were in, let's see here, the Cincinnati Royals. No, the Rochester Royals.
Okay.
Oscar Robertson probably playing on that.
Probably. Yeah.
Real quick before we go, here's something for Randy Shaver. A funny text here from a listener by the name of That Guy Jesus. This is specifically for Randy, and it harkens back to when Randy was telling us about one of his greatest fears.
One of my greatest fears. Okay.
Guy says, this is some kind of a haiku or some kind of a little poem here or something. I don't know what it is, but it goes like this. When I die, don't look for me in the sunsets. Look behind you. I'll be chasing you up the stairs after you turn off all the lights. Randy told us years ago, even at his accelerated age.
Oh, yeah.
When he's in the basement by himself and he turns off that last, he runs up the stairs. That's adorable.
And every night before I get in bed, I have this creepy vision that somebody's going to reach from underneath the bed and grab my ankles as I get into bed. I know. It's crazy, man.
I want to play a prank on you at the old folks' home, man.
It'll be the last thing that'll happen to me.
Grab your ankle from underneath the bed.
I have the big one.
I'll be totally
hit that
nude.
life alert button.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we got to go, you guys. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Okay.
Randy and Brad, thanks. We'll be back here in a minute on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
They want to glorify the fact that they're criminals. It's dumb. These guys are dumb. They deserve to be tossed under the jail just for being dumb.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
CJ Ham for Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. When I'm on the field, I can take anything. But at home with my family, we like everything to be comfortable. That's why I trust the pros at Standard. They've been keeping Minnesotans like me comfortable for over 90 years.
Is your cooling system making strange noises or not cooling properly? Don't wait for an AC breakdown this summer. Get a free in-home estimate with Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Schedule your appointment today at standardheating.com.
Half-Assed Morning Show 93X.
Oh, can you even believe this? It's 8:32. Here we are. It's the Half-Assed Morning Show. You're a terrific, attractive, intelligent crowd, and we appreciate you listening. We were jaw-jacking a little bit here 15, 20 minutes ago or so about how old Pat Sajak has decided to hang it up as host of the all-time great game show by the name of Wheel of Fortune. After one more season, he's going to have his farewell tour, and then he's done. How far into his 70s is Pat Sajak?
That's a good question.
He's 76.
And you wouldn't know by looking at him. He's had a lot of work done.
I believe 76 years old.
Is that right?
Josh. Yep.
I believe he's kept all of it. Is that his real hair? I haven't watched the show.
I'm not sure. If not, I mean, whoever put that in did a great job.
He looks great. Seems like a nice guy. I've never been a big fan of the show.
We've mentioned this before, but in the last year or so, he has no F's to give.
No, he's been mailing it in for years.
You can tell he just does not care.
No.
So some of you said earlier that you watch it semi-regularly. Or Hannah White is still running. Vanna White is still turning the numbers or whatever you do on that.
Yeah, still as beautiful as always.
That's incredible that the two of them,
quite a run,
could stand each other for so long. Do you have an all-time favorite game show?
Yes. Ooh. For me, that's The Price is Right.
The Price is Right.
Deal or no deal.
Oh, that's a fun one.
But
Never
back in its
saw
like
it.
heyday when it was
Yeah.
really big.
Was that when Howie Mandel was hosting the show? Was that Deal or No Deal?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I love that. And that little arcade game they have at arcades now for Deal or No Deal. Oh, you can find me
that's
at one
fun.
of those.
Yeah, that is fun.
I like Howie Mandel. I never watched his show Deal or No. Anyone else have a certain number one favorite all-time game show?
The old school match games from the 70s.
Those were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many good ones, but for me, it's still nostalgic. The Price is Right. I mean, in summer, you know, in the commune I grew up with, I had to watch whatever the adults were watching, and there was a lot of adults. And my grandma would watch. She'd just leave it on Channel 4, basically. We'd watch The Price is Right and then all the soap operas that were coming after.
Had to watch her stories.
Yeah.
Old people love it. I know an old drunk bastard that I drink with at the YZ American Legion. He has one rule: never call him between 10 and 11 a.m. I think that's when The Price is Right airs here locally. You never call him during The Price is Right. That's another show. I never really got into it.
The Price is Right?
No. I mean, I certainly saw it now and again, but I never made an appointment to watch The Price is Right. I think I'm about ready to throw this at you. With Pat Sajak retiring, Ranker.com ranked the top 20 game show hosts of all time. The hosts, specifically. There are two on this list that I was a fan of. And we'll get there. Really interesting, when we were talking about Wheel of Fortune a half hour ago, about Pat Sajak retiring, I got a text from a listener who has recently been interviewed to go live on the show.
Oh, that's cool.
A listener of this program is in the process of possibly getting on the show. So please keep us up to date. I asked him via text. I said, so you might eventually be on the show? And he said, yes, sir. I went through the interview process. And then they said this: it's about to be lit. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
You guys know anyone who's been on a game show? I know one person who appeared on a game show.
No, I don't actually.
No.
I know people. Well, does The Voice count?
I don't know.
Is that not really a game show, but that's a competition
Talent
show.
competition, yeah.
That's still pretty cool, though.
A gal I used to hang out with back in my St. Cloud State days. Maybe she was even still going to school at the time. She was very young. She ended up on The Price is Right. Ended up winning a gazebo, Josh.
Ooh,
nice.
that'd be kind of cool.
She made it to the final round, whatever they call it on The Price is Right, and she ended up losing, but she got to take home a gazebo.
Do you remember that brief period of time that Ashley was married?
Yes.
At your wedding, weren't you married under a gazebo of some sort?
Yes. Very pretty gazebo. They did a
Was.
good job on that.
So tell me what you think of Ranker.com's list of the top 20 game show hosts. Number 20, Steve Harvey, the host of Family Feud.
There was a period of time where we were watching that twice a night.
Yeah, I went after that.
He's good at it.
For a stretch of time. He's a good host. I'm a little tired of the same old, every time someone says something that he perceives to be slightly stupid, he does that same friggin' deadpan face.
Yep.
Yes, I agree.
That's why we stopped watching.
It's a little burnt out.
Come
yeah.
on, dude.
And it's a little too much, you know, like in the old one, the sexual stuff might have been on accident. But now they ask questions like, name something you'd like to see in your mother.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so obviously everyone's mind's going right the first,
It's obviously a setup. Name something sexual that rhymes with Enos.
Yep.
And
then somebody says penis, and then Steve Harvey looks at him like they're crazy. And
Yes.
how did you come up with that? That's insane.
the 19th greatest television game show host, according to Ranker.com, is Drew Carey, who is the current host of Price is Right. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't watched the Drew Carey Price is Right.
That was one I wasn't quite sure of when he took over, because when you take over for a legend, that's a tall order. But he's done pretty good. When I watch, he's good at it.
Does he still have that huge beard?
Yeah, he does.
I have not checked that out, the Drew Carey version of The Price is Right. Some of these are going to be lost on us. At least this one is lost on me. Number 18 is a fellow by the name of Gary Moore. This must have been in the 50s or something, or the 60s. He hosted a show called To Tell the Truth, which I am familiar with, and a show called I've Got a Secret. They sound very similar, don't they?
Yeah. There's a few on this list I'd never heard of.
Okay, would Gary Moore be one of them?
Gary Moore is one of them.
I remember Gary Moore, the guitar player, but not Gary Moore, the show host, the game show host. Number 7, Peter Tomarken.
Yeah, that's news to me.
Who hosted Wipeout and Press Your Luck.
Oh, I like Wipeout.
Oh, I like Press Your Luck.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Big money, no whammies.
Yeah.
I never got into. I had some friends who.
Oh, I've seen that.
Huh?
Sorry, I realized what it was. I like that one too.
Try to keep a hold of yourself over there. I remember some friends who were very into Press Your Luck, and they'd always joke back and forth about whammies. I never went that route.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, if you got something wrong, they'd throw like pizza dough at your face or something.
Now, I don't know if Ranker has their head up their ass or if I do.
It's viewers or viewers of the website, readers, I guess you'd say that, do this.
Because number 16 on the list of the greatest game show hosts is Groucho Marx. But then they list the games he hosted as Duck Soup, A Night at the Opera, and Animal Crackers. Those weren't shows. Those were movies that the man did. But I do remember in the 50s, I think, Groucho Marx hosted This Is Your Life.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why they listed movies. This is probably my favorite game show host at number 15. And I mentioned there are 2 game shows in here that I absolutely loved. Number 15 is Wink Martindale.
Mm-hmm. He was great.
Yep.
And they list one of the shows that he hosted, Tic-Tac-Dough. When I was a grade school, junior high kid, I would make a point of watching Tic-Tac-Dough when I got home from school. He also hosted something called Instant Recall and something called Debt.
I remember Debt.
Wink Martindale was terrific. 14, I don't recall this. Betty White hosted a game show called That's Men.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one
That
either.
sounds really silly.
Yeah, it does.
That's Men for you. Number 13, God rest his soul. He was a wonderful, funny guy. And that would be Regis Philbin and the program Who Wants to Go Ahead and Be a Millionaire.
Man, I remember that was appointment television when that first came out.
That was so huge, and Regis being a huge part of that.
Yeah, definitely.
He is so good.
By the way,
it was so good.
Does Katie Couric do it now? Does she still do it?
Meredith Vieira.
Oh, okay.
I never really got involved in the Millionaire program. Is Wink Martindale still alive?
He is.
Thankfully.
Oh, gosh, I think he is. Yeah, he's still alive, isn't he?
Number 12, he had the cutest little 70s coif type hairdo. Kind of a fro. Bert Convey. Some of you have no idea, do you?
Nope.
Win, lose, or draw?
Yeah. Win, lose, or
Tattletale, Super
draw.
Password.
Bert Convey. Remember his little hairdo? Anybody?
Yeah,
His
he
hairdo?
was gorgeous. I'd love to have hair like that.
Number 11, Chuck Woolery. I also liked him a lot.
Legend.
Yeah.
Boy, I bet he just raked in tail.
Well, you could just tell that on the show. You know, I mean, you could just, the way the women would respond to him.
He was, every time he walked into the set of The Dating Game or Wheel of Fortune, he hosted Wheel of Fortune. I didn't know that. I didn't know he hosted The Price is Right, Chuck Woolery. I bet he was fresh from a sorority, Chuck Woolery.
And he just had a great voice, too.
Yeah, he did. Did you guys know that he also hosted The Price is Right and Wheel of Fortune?
I knew about Wheel of Fortune. I did not know about Price is Right.
Number 10 is lost on me, Alan Ludden. They say he hosted a program called Password.
Not familiar with him.
Number 9, also, tell me, because I've never heard of him, Bill Cullen.
That was one I didn't know either.
Who hosted Name That Tune and Pyramid. I don't know if they mean the $10,000 Pyramid or there was a different game called Pyramid.
They do the game show Pyramid now, but it's hosted by, I think it's Michael Strahan or something like that.
Michael Strahan?
Yeah, I just watched it yesterday. It's actually pretty good.
I'll go with it. Boy, Name That Tune. I loved that show. And I'm the best in the county, if not the entire state of Minnesota, at Kiss Name That Tune. I proved that, didn't I, Cubby?
You sure did.
Number 8.
There was a guy that got just one against you and you gave it to him. I'll get out there and say that. You did give it to him.
You think I handed him that one?
I know you handed it to him.
Absolutely true. Again, Ranker, the top 20 game show hosts of all time. Number 8 is the guy who started the whole conversation. They call Pat Sajak, and his job, the job he has done over the years on Wheel of Fortune, they call him the 8th best game show host of all time. Number 7, old Bob Eubanks on the Newlywed Game.
Yep.
Great.
Bob, he had some cool hair too, man. That stuff looked like you could hit him with a hammer and it wouldn't go anywhere. Bob Eubanks, he was on the ground floor of that legendary moment from the Newlywed Game where he asked the couple, what's the most exotic place you've ever made love? Made whoopee, I think they used to say on the show, didn't they? What's the most exotic place you've ever made love? And the woman, true story, in case you haven't heard it, said, I'd have to say in the butt. And the man, the husband was, or the newlywed husband was looking for like Jamaica, Puerto Rico, the most exotic. She said in the can.
So good. Oh, here we go. I got it.
Tell me where specifically is the weirdest place that you personally, girls, have ever gotten the urge to make whoopee?
In the
That's good. That's great.
She's wild, man. Wild.
Number 6, Dick Clark. Back when he hosted the $10,000 pyramid, I was always a Dick Clark fan. You know what I liked about Dick Clark? He didn't care if you were a rapper, if you were a death metal artist, if you were mainstream country, he didn't care. He was respectful and talked to all of these artists equally. I noticed that from the time I was a young kid.
He's a pro.
He was a friggin' there you go. A straight up pro. Now I hope I don't get emails saying he got accused of looking at.
I'm always afraid to say anything positive about anybody for that reason.
I'm just saying, if something broke recently about Dick Clark being an awful person, I apologize. I don't watch the news very often.
I'm going to guess no. Still have a lot of Dick Clark themed events.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Perfected in Matamidi, you say, huh, Wapple?
That's the words.
You know what else was perfected in Matamidi, from what I've heard? Swinging.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll put that in the read for tomorrow.
Well, just do it right now. Actually, you know what? Don't do it right now.
Here we are back on the Half-Assed Morning Show, heading out the door here shortly. We were talking about Pat Sajak. He's decided to up and retire from hosting that television game show. The name of it, again, is Wheel of Fortune. Pat Sajak. 41 years in the business. Is that accurate?
As the host of that show, yeah.
Son of a bee. Ranker.com, or at least the viewers of Ranker.com, put together a list of the top 20 game show hosts of all time. We're up to the top 5. Some of the recognizable names that ended up in the top 20 that we covered already: Steve Harvey, Drew Carey, Groucho Marx, Wink Martindale, Betty White, Regis Philbin, Bert Convey, Chuck Woolery, Pat Sajak. Number 8, Bob Eubanks, Dick Clark. Number 5, coming in at number 5. I bet this would have been a fun show to host, and that would be the guy that I think of when it comes to Let's Make a Deal, and that's Monty Hall. All the people in their costumes.
Mm-hmm. Everybody. Who's got an egg in their purse? And somebody has an egg in their purse?
Yeah.
Number 4, Richard Dawson.
All-time great.
Yeah, of course.
Who I think was the original host of the Family Feud. He was on that program for many, many years.
I liked him, but he sure had a creepy vibe, didn't he?
He kissed every woman on that show for many, many years.
I really liked Richard Carr, too, on Family Feud. I thought he was pretty good.
Did he have a beard?
Yeah, he had a beard. And
kind of a heavy-set guy?
Yeah, going back to Home Improvement. He was on Home Improvement.
He was on Home Improvement?
Yeah, he was the counterpart to Tim.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Dawson. Yeah, with all the kissing. Always kissing. If there was one thing, and he's been gone for years, hasn't he, Richard Dawson?
2012.
There's one thing that would have benefited Richard Dawson and made him even more enjoyable to watch on television. One thing. Sunblock.
He was always pretty tan.
That for sure.
He looked like they pulled him off the beach 30 minutes before showtime. That dude was so sun-blasted at all times. But I guess, living out there in L.A. Number 3, I mentioned a long time ago when we first brought up this topic, there were 2 shows on this list that I really liked. I mentioned one of them already, being Tic-Tac-Dough. Coming at number 3 was the host of the other game that I really loved, and it was the match game and the host, Gene Rayburn.
He was so good.
Another legend in the business there.
Just being able to control all that chaos of that 6-person panel, and they're all out there drinking and smoking.
You got your Charles Nelson Riley. You had Richard Dawson, who was a regular guest, and I can't think of the others. Oh, God, it's been so many years. But the most enjoyable thing about the match game from the 70s with Gene Rayburn as the host, as you made mention of, Dana, everyone, don't argue with me because it's the truth, everyone was drunk.
Oh, definitely.
Drunk. Number 2, the obvious top 2. Who wants to throw it out there?
Well, Bob Barker.
Bob Barker is number 2.
Another guy that could use some sunblock. And number 1's going to be Alex Trebek.
That's right, Alex Trebek.
The late great.
Oh, wow. I did have a listener now tell me it was this guy just too controversial and too bizarre, or maybe Ranker people just don't remember him. Chuck, what the hell was his last name from The Gong Show?
Woolery?
No.
From
Chuck,
The Gong Show?
Yeah, I used to. Barris.
Oh, sure.
I idolized him as a child. Idolized him. I would entertain my parents by imitating Chuck Barris. I would put the hat over my head and do all the Chuck Barris, cliche movements. You older folks know what I'm talking about. Some of you younger people, you've never heard of Chuck Barris. The Gong Show was mental, and he was mental. And there was a movie made about it. And I can't think of the name of the movie. But it's very good. Very good. Josh, can you think of the name of the movie about Chuck Barris's life?
I actually had never seen The Gong Show.
You never watched The Gong Show?
No. Like I said, I watched whatever the adults watched, and they didn't watch it.
Do you know the story?
I don't even know when was it on. I'm assuming at nighttime?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. Yeah, it was a primetime show, yes. So none of you know the story of Chuck Barris?
No.
The only thing I know about the Gong Show is the Popsicle Twins.
Right.
Oh, I've seen that clip, sure.
Gene the Dancing Machine, maybe?
Yeah, familiar with that.
What was the Eternal something of the Spotlight Mind or so?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotlight Mind? That's about...
No, that's not it. Someone look up the movie Chuck Barris. It's about Chuck Barris. The name of the actor...
Confessions of a Dangerous Mind?
That's it. Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Sam Rockwell?
Sam Rockwell plays...
he's cool.
Chuck Barris claimed he was a hired killer that worked for the CIA. You guys really got to look. I'm surprised that none of you have heard of this. He was a complete crackpot, from what I understand.
That looks really good.
It is really good. Drew Barrymore's up in it, all kinds of other people. George Clooney's, I think, might be in there.
Going on my list.
Yeah, try that one out. Some texts that came in on the topic of the greatest game shows or game show hosts. What do you think, Josh? They say Divorce Court should really be titled as a game show because you see how much money you have to pay out on Divorce Court. Listener, she's been with us for years, Extreme Bitch One Sheezes. She says her cousin is going to be on Jeopardy this Friday.
Oh, exciting.
Cool. Got to have a smart cousin there.
Yeah.
Do you guys watch Jeopardy?
Every day.
I like it.
Every day?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little too advanced sometimes for me, though.
Yeah, I feel so dumb when I watch it.
That's where you got to tune in when it's like high school week and stuff. Yeah. But even some of those go over my head. I'm like, God, these teenagers are smarter than me, too.
One of our listeners wished that Guy Smiley would have been on this list. He was on Sesame Street, wasn't he? Guy Smiley. And finally, Beef Cannon Jesus says that his grandpa lets him hold the remote after they watch the Powerball.
Good stuff. Miller Lite Jesus sent in a happy birthday shout out to his amazing wife and awesome mom to their 2 girls, Mrs. Miller Lite Jesus. Happy birthday to the U.S. Army and have a fantastic Flag Day.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show. 93.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. New episodes drop each weekday. If your podcast platform has ratings, go ahead and give us 5 stars and maybe give our enemies 1. Thanks, and here's a word from our sponsor.
Don't wait for an AC breakdown this summer. Get a free in-home estimate with Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Schedule your appointment today at standardheating.com.